Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome. Oh, hi. Hello.
We're not crazy at all. This isn't a cult, I swear.
Lorebeards 40,000 welcomes everyone today because we have a fun topic today. We're going to be talking about the Calixis sector, which is the setting for the Dark Heresy role playing game, and also the computer role playing game that'll be coming out soon. Oh, look, we both have the same exact book, the same exact edition. Look at that.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Fancy, right?
I know. I know. But before we get too far down the road, we have to make sure and introduce ourselves.
So Ross, you're actually really important for this one. So who are you?
Hello, everyone. My name is Ross Watson. I am a game designer and author. I have worked on most of Warhammer 40,000 roleplay, including the majority of Dark Heresy. So that's one of the reasons why she said that. I've also worked on some Warhammer 40K video games. I was part of the US White Dwarf team for a couple of years. And if you like the lore for the Inquisition, the Rogue Traders, or the Death Watch, I helped create it. A lot of that lore. So that's
Heck
who
yeah.
I am. Who are you, Norn Queen Alexis?
Oh, well, as you said, I am Norn Queen Alexis. I am a Viking reenactor, a game enthusiast, a game designer, which is interesting to say now. And yeah, I'm a massive, massive nerd. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm big into Warhammer, and I've been here for way too long. I think it was recently I passed the majority of my life. I've played well, over half my life I've played Warhammer.
That's a long time.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Yeah, I mean, I started back in '99, so
Hang
yeah,
on,
it's been 27 years for me. That's over half my life.
I gotta double check the math on this.
By the way, if any of the people out there can hear us talking, do us a favor, please post in the chat just so we know we're not screaming into the void. That would be
Okay,
really
my
helpful.
microphone is just way in the way. Okay.
But the Calixtus sector is a fun place to discuss because obviously it's very close and near and dear to me.
Oh my god, it came out. I started playing back in freaking 2006.
Okay, so is that half your life or not?
Yes. That is 20 years ago. Ross, how old do you think I am? God damn.
I mean, I never ask.
Whew. All
So,
right.
but yes, we should probably begin with like what is the Calixis sector, and if you'd like to get into it, by all means.
So the Calixis sector is super interesting because it is the amalgamation of a RPG setting, and it is perfect for one. You have corruption, you have demon packs, you have a corrupted Inquisition, you have regular Inquisition, you have all sorts of things, even corrupted cops, which is really cool. Like you could play a cops and robbers game in this setting. Everything that you could want in a Warhammer role play game is in there, and I absolutely love it. It was a great setting, though I will say I prefer second edition's rule set over first editions.
Well, yeah, the good news is we're not here to talk about rules. We're here just to talk about the setting.
Yep.
And I can't take full credit. The Calixis sector was created by Mike Mason, Owen Barnes, Kate Flack, and a bunch of the writers that had worked for them. My understanding is that Dan Abnett and Nathan Long were consulted, and John French and Alan Bly did some work on the setting as well.
They each put a dot on a map, and we're just like, that's a planet. Okay, bye.
Well, I would love. We should get. We did have Mike Mason on the show for Lorebeards and role playing to talk about Dark Heresy. I should. He'd be the guy I could ask specifically to find out like who did what on the setting. But there's a great quote that I'd like to read for it that basically tells you everything you need to know. It is from the core book, right there. It is from Diviner Adept Harpius Mundus, which is a great name. And Mundus writes, "It is an ill-omened place, my lord. It is cursed, they say, a fount of witches and other foulness, a chalice of corruption haunted by a dead sun. They say it is but a matter of time before the stars align and the entire place is torn asunder by demons. Of course, they say that about a great many places, but in this case, Master, the Taro indicates it is actually true.
It's a great quote.
It's a good quote. I do like it. So the Calixis sector is an imperial region of the Milky Way galaxy, primarily known as the setting for the Dark Heresy tabletop role-playing game, and of course the upcoming computer role-playing game from Alcat.
Now, I am wondering what rule system they're going to use. Are they going to use first editions like crazy rules, or are they going to use second editions?
I mean, looking at Rogue Trader, they did change quite a bit, so we'll see how that works. Yeah, Mundus is his last name. Gideon Gleeful. The guy's name was Harpius Mundus. So it is located in the Segmentum Obscurus. The Calixis sector is on the northern edge of the galaxy. It lies near the Eye of Terror and borders the Scarus sector to spinward and the Ixaniad sector to coreward. It is right on the frontier. It's right next to the Coronis Expanse, which is, of course, the setting for the computer role-playing game of Rogue Trader and the tabletop game of Rogue Trader. So it's far enough from the core of the Imperium that it must largely fend for itself, but close enough to the Eye of Terror that chaos is a constant and seeping menace.
In fact, the name I chose over here is a character that's just briefly mentioned within Dark Heresy First Edition.
I remember. Oh, go ahead.
It is a character that I think might actually be one of the most powerful in the entire setting, just casually mentioned. She is a woman who took in 3 Keepers of Secrets. And it's just casually mentioned in a side blurb of one of the books. I don't remember which expansion it is. I will find it after this. But it is such a funny character because she keeps wanting to have her eternal youth and everything. And Slaanesh finally just has enough of her absorbing her Keepers of Secrets and is just like, what do you want? And she's just like, eternal youth and beauty. Done! Stop it! And ascended her into a demon.
Yeah, she's a very obscure character, I would say.
Yep.
Can everybody hear both of us? I do see Gideon Gleeful saying he's hearing chatter from one of us.
Or probably chatter from the background of mine.
That's probably Victor. Okie dokie. No problemo.
I'll lower my mic settings so that you don't hear him as much.
So what makes the Calixis sector unique is that it is a combination of deeply layered political intrigue, ancient Xenos mysteries, and singular galaxy-threatening prophecies that cast a shadow over the entire region. It is not consumed by open war, not like the Armageddon Theater or the Jericho Reach, but instead the Calixis sector rots from within very quietly, very persistently, and perhaps inevitably. I've always liked that. Now, before the Calixis sector was the Calixis sector, it was called the Calix Expanse. And you notice I have a subtitle saying the Chalice of Mystery. The Chalice, that is another word for Calix, or Calix is a word for chalice. And so the Calix Expanse, the chalice as an emblem, is a common theme that you'll find throughout a lot of Dark Heresy stuff.
Does that have anything to do with the Space Marine chapter that has the chalice as their iconography?
The Absolvers.
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhat, yes. One of the reasons why we selected the Absolvers for Wrath and Glory is because they had a connection to Dark Heresy with the chalice emblem. So
I do apologize. My headphone is just cracking in my ear and it's driving me bananas.
So yeah, the reason they were chosen is to have a sly reference to Dark Heresy in Wrath and Glory.
Oh, heck yeah.
So that's kind of a fun thing. Also, I'm a Blood Angels fan, so why not? Yeah, but long before humanity arrived, the region known as the Calix Expanse was a patchwork of Xenos empires, lost human colonies, chaos-worshipping savages, and ancient ruins. It was first charted by a storied rogue trader dynasty known as the Harlock family. Somewhere around the 7th century of the 36th millennium, so roughly 4,000 years before the current date, I think, Solomon Harlock, which was the one of the scions of this dynasty, he led a 13-year voyage through the expanse and basically systematically documenting each of its worlds, its resources, and its dangers in the Imperial Cartographus Universalis, which is a great term for the atlas of the region. And he described the area as rich in souls, plunder, and wealth, and things best left undisturbed, which I really I like that a lot. So, noting the presence of ruins belonging to what he called an ancient and long dead alien civilization, which we would later come to know that was the Yuvath.
Oh yeah, they pop up from time to time in the book.
A minor xenospecies had kind of been wiped out and left behind these ancient ruins. So the Yuvath in the story of Dark Heresy are really just sort of the ghosts of a long dead war, but they do crop up from time to time.
And I'm just glad that you chose something like when making this, that it wasn't just Eldar. Because I feel like every story defaults to ancient ruins. It's Eldar. Except during the Horus Heresy, where they're like ancient ruins of human civilizations, past human civilizations. I really like that kind of stuff because I love the background of archaeologists and data-archaeologists trying to figure out like old humans and old Xenos races and everything so that they could destroy them.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know that. Yeah, I don't believe it was I who chose it. I think it was probably Alan Bly or John French who chose it because those guys really like to write about minor species we've never heard of before, and they're also creators of the Slouth, which is another alien race that's native to the region.
Yeah.
But Harlock famously called the Expanse a chalice of great and ancient wickedness, which I thought was a great name.
It is a great name.
For centuries afterwards, rogue traders and free captains and explorators from the neighboring Scaris and Ixaniad sectors, they plundered the Expanse for wealth and Xenos relics during what became known as the Age of Plunder. This lasted for about 2,000 years between the 37th and the 39th millennium. Darker stories followed. There were legends of inhuman empires and mind eaters and chaos worshipping savages and a baleful black star that presages disaster. This was the first mention of what would eventually become known as the Tyrant Star, which is one of the greatest mysteries of the region.
Yep. I love watching people try to explain what the Tyrant Star is. So Ross, I have to ask, what is it?
It can be a lot of things.
Yeah, I knew it.
It could be a lot of things. It depends. In the Harlock's Legacy adventure path of adventures that we worked with Alan Bly and John French on, those two guys basically said, well, it is Solomon Harlock traveling back in time to try and save his family. And it's a incredibly horrid 40K version of Back to the Future, if you will. But it's that is only one of several possibilities. And the core book intentionally leaves it very vague so that game masters can come up with their own reasons.
Yep. That's why I love watching lore videos on it where people try to figure it out. And I'm just like, it's literally a plot hook. Well, trying to explain that to people.
The upcoming Alcat game will probably put some sort of definitive bow on it. And I'm excited to see what they come up with. We'll talk about the Tyrant Star a little bit more later on. Devin Urbina is asking, did I work on this? Yes. Yes, I do. I basically inherited the Dark Heresy line only a few months after it was launched. The only books that had been published was Shattered Hopes, which was their free RPG Day teaser. The Inquisitor's Handbook, which was a player's guide. The Purge the Unclean, which was a series of adventures. And Edge of Darkness, which was another intro adventure, if I recall correctly. Disciples of the Dark Gods had been written, but it had not been edited or figured out what was going to happen with it. So one of the very first things that I did when I came on board for Dark Heresy was start with Disciples of the Dark Gods and get that book out, followed by Creatures Anathema, which is my very first source book for Dark Heresy that I created. And I'm very happy with it because I won some awards. So, hey. Anyhow.
I also found something funny. I was trying to find the exact book that the Trice Possessed is in. The Lexiconum says it's in the core rule book. Okay? It gave me a page number.
Uh-huh.
All right? Now, let me show you the page that it gave me. That's a Trice-bound demon host. That's not the same character.
It is not.
Lexiconum is wrong.
No, Lexiconum is. I would not count it as a definitive source. It is. It is often right, but it is not always right. Diar648 asks, "Are the mind readers in reference to the enslavers or the Slough?" I believe they are for the enslavers.
Yeah. Oh,
so
Victor's being extra loud today.
Slough, though, are really scary, and I'm excited to talk about them today because I want to do a whole episode on minor xenospecies and include the Slough because they're really, really cool.
Now, would we include the squats in there?
Probably not, because they're now the Leagues of Votan.
I don't mean the Leagues of Votan. I mean the squats that are on Necromunda.
Pretty sure those are just kin.
Well, they are kin, but yeah.
No,
they've been left there for like over a few thousand years at this point.
Well, we could talk about the Ratgal or the Yuvath or the Rangda or the Fraal or many, many other small xenospecies. I think that would be a lot of fun to talk about. The Rangda especially would be pretty great. Are we getting a raid? Is that what's happening, Devin Urbina? It looks like they're greeting raiders. I don't know if that's happening. But let's talk about how the and the Calixis sector came to be, which was from the Angevin Crusade. The Angevin Crusade was held in M39, so just a few thousand years before the current date. And this is when a great imperial military campaign swept through the region under Lord Militant Golgana Angevin. Hey, Sotek, thanks for the raid. Minecraft Warhammer event. So, okay, that's what's going on. Awesome.
Wait, what? How do you have a Minecraft Warhammer event? Is it just one guy walking around with a bolter blowing up everything you built?
I don't know. Hey, Lorebeards, welcome. Welcome. We're just talking about the Calixis sector. And so the colossal force under Lord Militant Golgana Angevin, I mean, it was big. It was really big. They had Black Templars. They had the Sons of Medusa, the Charnel Guard. They had several Space Marine chapters, plus massive naval forces, Fraterus militia, 17 million levied troops, Titan legions. It was a big force. Big force. And so they rolled in. And the Crusade started out on the frontier world of Sanophia, and then they assaulted Malfi and Solomon as their anchor points, and the early decades brought just stunning success. Yes, Ricardo Andre is asking for a map. We do have one. We will bring it up.
Yes. Just give me one moment. Up.
So in 4 years, they conquered more worlds than they had in 2 decades. So can you find me Malfi? Can you find me Malfi and Solomon on that map?
Ooh.
They should be at the ends.
Okay, let's see. I could try, but holy cow, there's a lot of worlds on this. Who would guess that a role-playing setting has a lot of planets to go to?
There is another map I can bring up as well. I found 2 of them. Let's see here.
Somebody will probably find this way quicker than me. I take forever to find anything.
Yeah, I see the Lathe worlds there. I see Zelsecundus. Yeah, it's always the one world you can't find that becomes the problem.
I do love this.
Okay, Malfi's on the left there, that blue dot right to the left of Scintilla. Go to the center of the map and then go left. Left the other direction, your other left. There you go. Stop. That's Malfi.
Yeah, there it is.
And then Solomon would be let's see. So if we found Malfi, then Solomon should be really close by. Well, I wasn't planning on picking these particular planets out, but it's on the map, I promise you. Solomon's there.
We're good at this.
Yeah, we are. Anyway, so this was taken under the control also of General Drusus, a guy who really distinguished himself in the Angevin Crusade as a leader. And Drusus basically fought his way through a lot of these conflicts, making himself a very well-known figure. He did declare an exterminatus on the world of Amo and Morris. Their population had devolved into some sort of abominable living machines.
Whoa. You can't just say exterminatus without explaining what an exterminatus is.
What is an exterminatus?
So, an exterminatus is one of my favorite things in all of Warhammer 40k. Typically, it doesn't include destroying the entire planet, but usually surface level exterminatuses. But an exterminatus is when they kill all life on a planet. They bombard it from orbit. They set off volcanic activity by shooting its fault lines. They use cyclonic torpedoes if they need the planet fully destroyed. There are bombardments, virus bombings, phosphex bombings. There are different types of exterminatuses. And there are even some that are so extreme, they superheat the core of the planet and cause it to blow up. Though those are extremely rare. The most common exterminatus in all of Warhammer 40k is a surface bombardment exterminatus. And there's also one level of exterminatus that is absolutely my favorite, and it's when they unleash 10,000 Ogryns on a planet and get them mad.
That's true. What's interesting also about this is the Calixis sector is basically the first and only time that Games Workshop let a third party define such a massive part of space. Every other region that's in the role-playing game books after this is smaller than a full sector. There's the Jericho Reach, there's the Coronis Expanse, there's the Askelion sector, which is second edition, or subsector. Actually, it's a subsector for second edition. So yeah, this is the biggest, widest push you'll ever see of defining a sector of space in 40k.
Which is actually kind of like a little bit sad in a way, because like I want writers to feel free to make a whole bunch of new stuff up for 40k, because 40k as a setting is big enough for that.
Nestor Retomer gives us a super chat. Thank you. He says, "It's over, Drusus. On this hololith, I have betrayed you as the Virgin and myself as the Chad. This is how we shall pass into Imperial history. Rogue trader militant Severus the First. He was wrong."
That is true, though.
That's funny. I love it. Hey, thank you for the super chat, Nestor Retombro. This is the part of the episode where I say, if you want to support us and have more content coming your way from Lorebeards 40k, super chats are the absolute best way to do that, because it directly impacts the hosts, it directly impacts the channel. We're always very grateful for people who support us with super chats. Thank you.
Oh, I do want to clarify this really quickly, because it's way funnier than you think it is.
Okay. Morning to Crescent says, "Step 1, release 10,000 Ogryns. Step 2, tell them the Emperor is upset with them. Step 3, flood the planet in Ogryn tears."
Okay, so this is a cheeky little joke at an apocalypse formation that was deemed an exterminatus level threat. So technically it wasn't an exterminatus, but it was a threat for exterminatus. On a world where they kept Ogryn, not their home world, mind you, but just a world that mimicked their own world, they kept millions of Ogryn, okay? A Chaos Force invaded that world, and they killed a woman. Just a single woman. And the Chaos Force stopped and tried to retreat as quickly as possible, because that woman happened to be the Ogryn handler. That woman was the one that the Ogryns all looked up to and really liked. And when she died, the Ogryn got so mad, they obliterated everything on the entire planet, Chaos Warband and all. Now, is that to be taken seriously? Not really. It's from one of the Apocalypse books, which has a lot of funny things in it. Yeah. But I did want to point it out because it's really funny.
I keep looking for planets that I need to talk about, and I just don't see them on this map. So I'm sure it's on there somewhere. But we'll get to it anyway. So we were talking about how the Crusade swept through the area, basically conquering it to turning it into an imperial sector. We talked about a little bit of Exterminatus that they did. There was a bit where the momentum of the Crusade shattered. It opened up a second front against another force. I'm not excited. I want to get through the whole thing about the Angevin Crusade. That's not what it's about. But the world over Rendell is where they linked up with the forces that were trying to finish the sweep of the sector. And on a Rendell, Angevin, the war master of the Crusade, he apparently broke mentally after this disaster because the casualties on a Rendell equaled more than the entire previous 20 years of fighting. That was a hell of a fight.
Yeah, it definitely didn't have to do with anything to do with them being so close to the Eye of Terror or demonic influences, did it?
I mean, this after this, Angevin withdrew. He turned everything over to the generals and created a period called the Bleak Years. The Bleak Years, this is when General Drusus, remember him?
Mm-hmm.
General Drusus rises to a far more exalted position than he ever expected, because while they were fighting Ildari Corsairs and Orc Wogs and the terrible Yuvath, which was a warp-worshipping Xenos race of extraordinary power, this kind of threatened to undo all of the gains the Crusade had made to date. So Drusus and his forces, which he gathered up, including the Harlock Legacies dynasty and another rogue trader called Saberhagen, and prevented the Malthian region from collapsing. So he held out against the seeming collapse of the rest of the Crusade's gains. Now, this is when his rivals decided that Drusus needed to go. So they set up an assassination. And while he was rallying all his forces on a world called Maccabeus Quintus, Maccabeus Quintus is also where the Maccabean Janissaries come from.
Yeah, which are one of the coolest guard regiments ever.
Right.
They got the death mask and everything. They're super cool.
And they have the death mask of Drusus because on Maccabeus Quintus is where he was killed. Assassins struck him down. However, to the astonishment of all the soldiers and the Space Marines and the priests, everybody was like, what? Drusus seemingly rose from the dead. It was witnessed by Space Marines of the Iron Hands chapter, amongst many others, and was immediately interpreted as a living miracle, a mark of the Emperor's favor. Drusus was considered a living saint, and a cult was formed on the spot to worship him as a representation of the Emperor as well.
Now, I do want to point out one thing really quickly. You said the Iron Hands, right?
Yep.
The Iron Hands are notoriously atheist.
I mean, most Space Marine chapters are, unless you're talking about the Black Templars.
Yes. There are very few that do worship the Emperor as a god and everything. But for them to witness a miracle and then testify to it, that's huge.
Pretty big deal. Yes, pretty big deal.
Look, we're not saying the Emperor is a god and everything, but dude turned gold and came back to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Drusus is now in charge. He takes over from Angevin, and he launches the third phase, the final phase of the conquest of the sector. He crushes the last of the Yuvath, which is on their planets called Hell Worlds, Yuvath Hell Worlds. We will talk about them in a little bit.
I'm sure they're lovely places, probably paradise worlds, in fact.
And then Lord Militant Adjuvant died under mysterious circumstances. How shocking.
What?
And Drusus was acclaimed as Lord Militant in his stead. So Drusus then officially declared the Crusade complete and was installed as the first Lord Sector of the region. As the sector's first governor, he laid down the foundations. There's a legal code called the Corpus Presidium Calixis. He founded the Calixian Holy Synod based on Hive Tarsus, the permanent grant, which is on, I think that's part of Scintilla. Hive Tarsus. I'd have to double check. He gave the lathes system to the Adeptus Mechanicus. The lathes you can see just to the left of Scintilla there in the middle of the map. There's three little worlds. Yeah, they're there. And Heth, Hat, and Had are the name of these three worlds, and he turned all three of them over to the Adeptus Mechanicus for them to rule. And
I
then
have a question about this really quickly, because you mentioned the Adeptus Mechanicus.
Yes.
Was the Adeptus Mechanicus formed as it is now when you were writing this?
It was, I mean, there was a lot less information on them back then, but we still knew, the broad strokes, certainly.
So you didn't know about like Scutari cohorts, but you knew about the Scutari.
We knew Scutari existed, yeah, but I couldn't have named an individual unit or anything.
Okay. Because that is important when we talk about this stuff, because a lot of lore has changed since the writing of this book.
Right, and the lore of this book has actually influenced a great deal of lore about the the Inquisition specifically. Mm-hmm. Although some of it has also influenced the Mechanicus, because Alan Bly was the first guy to come up with the Seculars in Dark Heresy, and the Seculars ended up becoming a unit type in Horus Heresy, and now they're just a big part of the Mechanicus lore, for example. Getting Gleeful as a super chat says, quick question: if most chapters don't worship the Emperor as a god, do they have to condition that out of the children they recruit? Often, yes.
Well, I mean, that's what hypno indoctrination is for.
Yes, a part of their process of becoming initiates involves them adapting to the culture of the chapter, and most of the time, unless you're a Black Templar, that also involves the Emperor isn't actually divine; he's our father.
Look, guys, stop worshiping the 30-foot tall magic man who can literally hear us and bring people back to life.
Yeah, right.
He calls us angels, but that's just what he says. He's not a god. Totally.
So Drusus, having set all this up, he ends up dying prior to the start of the timeline for the book. The book itself takes place in around the 8th century of M41, which is only a few hundred years before the current date, if I remember right.
Yes.
The Calixis sector is now, in its modern era, governed by Sector Governor Marius Hax, a patrician veteran who rules from the Lucid Palace on the capital world of Scintilla, right there in the middle of the map. Big red dot. You can't miss it. Boop. Yeah, right there.
I almost missed it.
Hax, H-A-X.
Yeah, and she has hacks. Sorry.
Hax's true priority is ensuring each world meets its imperial tithe. The mechanics of planetary governance, he just leaves that up to whoever's in charge. He's famously a very hands-off sector governor. The real power of the sector, though, resides with the Calixian Conclave, which is the sector's branch of the Inquisition. And it is led by Lord Inquisitor Kaidin, a master of intrigue who reportedly walks amongst the populace in disguise, his face perpetually concealed under a mask.
This character actually influenced the homebrew character that Victor plays, which is Inquisitor Hunt, who is a no-named Inquisitor whose only talents are to disappear.
We got a super chat from Syndicalist Wallower. It says, Woot, caught the stream. Glad you made it. Current game is on Malfi. Malfi's a fantastic planet. We will talk more about that. Human Alpha Legion agents. Yep, that actually totally tracks for Malfi. About to go sabotage the spaceport to start a famine. That's interesting. So you're playing Dark Heresy, Syndicalist Wallower? That's really, really cool. Are you playing, I guess Alexis would like to know if you're playing first or second.
Rule set wise, because we actually use the first edition books for their, for the story of it, and then played through second edition. And then we first played through second edition and its limited stories. And then we played through a game of first edition.
I'm in fact wearing my Inquisition shirt today because the Inquisition is such a major part of the Calixis sector. They are really the true power behind the throne. And the Calixian Conclave, they have a headquarters called the Tricorn Palace on Scintilla, and they have fortified outposts on almost every major world in the sector. So the Inquisition's authority is very deeply interwoven with the whole thing.
Now, there is something I do want to add here about the Inquisition, because the Inquisition in this book is written absolutely top tier, and in fact, made me fall in love with the Inquisition. I love the Inquisition. but it represents the three styles of playing inquisitorial agents, which is staying undercover, not being discovered, hiding the fact that you're there, announcing that you are there, which is my personal favorite way to play. You just announce that you're an inquisitor, and everyone who looks guilty is guilty. And then they have the one that runs the fine line of they maybe are an inquisitor, question mark, or are they a rogue trader? Who is this eccentric person? And you're not sure, and you have to dance around the topic with them. This game does a great job of showcasing how certain inquisitors act and behave when they are confronted by the populace within the Imperium, whether that be the local populace or even gangs, or even crazier, heretic organizations, because you can infiltrate them. And it's so well written, and I love it.
Thank you. One of the Inquisitors I would like to mention is Felroth Gelt. He is the Inquisitor I basically adopted and turned into my personal guy to write things for in the setting. So if you see stuff for if you see stuff for Felroth Gelt, the odds are very high I wrote it. Syndicalist Wallower says he is playing only war with a lot of fan supplements, Alexis.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good.
And Lydian Gleeful says, follow-up, when Marines are at other branches, do they not use the term God Emperor or partake in prayers? I feel like the media still incorrectly has them treat Big E as a god. I noticed this in Space Marine 2 when the chaplain's giving a briefing, basically, and everybody's kneeling, and they're talking about the Emperor in some very religious manners. There is some rites of war and things within the chapter that can feel very religious. It's part of the old imperial truth that's been, it has evolved along the way over 10,000 years. So, yes, typically Space Marines do not use the term God Emperor. The Black Templars are the major faction that does. Everyone else does not.
Maybe the Exorcists do as well.
Well, I said major faction.
Yeah. Again, they're not major at all. But
some media does. I raise my eyebrow during that Space Marine 2 scene. I was like, that feels very non-secular. But at the same time, Games Workshop approved everything that was in Space Marine 2, so maybe they are drifting a little bit more into the Venn diagram has a little bit more overlap than I had thought in the past.
Maybe that particular company of Ultramarines is just more zealous than the others.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they were calling for worship or the God Emperor or anything like that. So there's that.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so other powers within the Calixis sector, you have the Great Houses. These are the noble families and Calixian corporations that trace their lineage to the founding era or even earlier. You have House Kryn, which is one of the oldest, most politically entrenched houses. You have the Sistel Alliance, which is a major trading and economic bloc. You have the Devane Incorporation, which is a powerful mercantile combine. You have the Machenko Dynasty, which is a shipping and commerce empire. You have the Scalenhar Hegemony, which is a great name. I love that one. And you have the Masked. The Masked is a shadowy and mysterious noble faction. Other key authorities include Cardinal Ignato of the Adeptus Ministorum, Lord Marshal Gorman of the Adeptus Arbites, Senior Astropath Chow, and Canoness Goneril of the Adeptus Sororitas. These are the big cheeses.
Quick addition here. A lot of you may notice that a lot of the names and organizations that he listed also went to influence other writings in Warhammer 40K, because a lot of this was reused for, well, not reused, but inspired Necromunda. And when they further expanded Necromunda's writing to the 2nd and 3rd edition, I think they're going into 3rd edition now, but they're not calling it an edition change. But a lot of the writings and the subtleties and the trade networks and things like that that were properly expanded in this, which weren't expanded fully in 1st edition, got fully expanded in the 2nd edition were inspired by this or the writing styles of the Dark Heresy campaigns.
Owen Barnes, not for nothing, is a guy who wrote a whole bunch of stuff for Dark Heresy, and he wrote a whole bunch of stuff for Necromunda and for Blood Bowl and basically all the specialist game stuff. And Andy Hoare, who also wrote a bunch of stuff for Dark Heresy and Rogue Trader and Deathwatch, also worked in the same area. So those two guys, there's a reason why a lot of stuff from the role-playing game kind of made its way over into the specialist game side.
Just want to say, the best specialist game out of all of them ever made, Blood Bowl.
All right, so there is a couple of things we do need to talk about. There is the most closely guarded secret of the sector is a thing called the Jericho Maw Warp Gate. This is a stable warp anomaly. It's actually an Eldar. Well, it's an Eldar-y shaped warp gate. These things are part of the lore, and it's not clear if it's Necron or if it's Eldar or what. But it is a straight up Stargate that can link the Calixis sector to the far side of the galaxy, specifically the Jericho Reach. These two places are linked by this warp gate, and people can just travel back and forth between it. The existence of the gate, though, is considered an incredible secret, and only the sector's most senior officials know about it, because vast quantities of Astra Militarum troops and material resources are being funneled through that gate to the Calixis Crusade, which is a massive war effort going on in the Jericho Reach.
Now, remember, everyone, you cannot use any Xenos filth technology. How dare you? Even looking at it can get you killed in the Imperium or turned into a servitor if you're lucky. Now, everyone go into the Eldar Gate.
Well, it looks very Eldar-y. There's an image of it on the cover of the Calixis Crusade novel or source book. I'll have to bring that up at some point. Anyway, the point is that because of this drain of resources, the Calixis sector is essentially underdefended. It's probably a good way to put it. They don't have as much resources in terms of military that you would expect from a typical Imperial sector. They're a little thinly stretched because they have, not only do they have the Maw, which is actually where Rogue Trader takes place in the Coronis Expanse, which is right on the other side of the Maw. They have the setting for Only War, which is the Severan Dominance, which is also nearby, which is you have a whole secessionist set of systems, basically, where there's an ongoing war as well. So there is war happening all around the Calixis sector, but it itself is not at war.
So the only thing that they have to fully defend themselves is a few hundred Sisters of Battle, the Arbites, and maybe whatever militia the Inquisition can muster.
The Maccabean Janissaries are also pretty,
Oh yeah, the Maccabean Janissaries.
There's at least one regiment of Astra Militarum here, and not for nothing, there's also a home world of a Space Marine chapter on this page. If you look at the very bottom middle, I think that's Sacris.
Yeah, it is.
Sacris is the home world of the Storm Warden Space Marine chapter, which I created. So there you go.
What?
I know, right? Nestor Vitumbra says, I love the appearance of warp gates. It's something I hadn't been emphasized since Rogue Trader. Well, you're welcome. I was the one who decided that it should be a warp gate and found the lore to back it up. Glad you liked it. That's something I enjoy putting in there.
I do love Gleeful just posting these comments trying to justify everything. Like how an Imperial in-world would justify it.
Right. Thank you for that. And we've got a member for 5 months, Petrus Hypatus. Thank you so much. Hi, Alexis and Ross. What's inside the Omega Vault? Okay, the Omega Vault is from the Deathwatch role-playing game. It is part of the story of the Jericho Reach. It is basically a sealed thing inside Watch Station Ariok, where every so often the vault will just kind of open and something will come out from the inside that the Deathwatch needs or is a clue to something that they're supposed to do. So many things are inside the Omega Vault. When we talk about the Jericho Reach, we will probably discuss it at length, Petrus Hypatus. Glad you brought it up.
It's actually just me. It like opens up and it's my door right here. Deathwatch come in every now and then. They get mad at me.
Let's talk about the subsectors of the Calixis sector. First, there's in the middle there, just north of Scintilla, you can see there's a set of words. That is the Golgana Reach. That's the heart of the sector. The Golgana Reach is named after Lord Millicent Angevin, the guy who started the crusade to take over this part of space. It is home to the sector capital, Scintilla, and the Tricorn Palace. This is the most politically stable and economically dominant subsector, though it is absolutely chock full of intrigue and heresy.
This is actually a place that my Rogue Trader RPG took place at because of the level of stuff you can get away with there and the amount of stuff that they have.
So if you will go take your cursor southeast down there by Cryptus, if you will. Yeah, Cryptus right there. That is the Drusus Marches. The Drusus Marches are named in honor of St. Drusus, the guy that totally legitimately came back to life, you guys, for real.
The Iron Warrior said it.
Iron Hands.
Nope, Iron Hands. Sorry, I was thinking of a much cooler chapter.
This is where all the really spiritually significant worlds are. You have the shrine worlds of Sentinel and Maccabeus Quintus. You have the site. That's where Drusus, of course, miraculously came back to life. Cardinal Hester governs the Drusian Diocese, which has the highest concentration of shrine worlds in any of the Calixis area. It also contains Port Wander, which is, if you note to the far left, is the Halo stars to the towards Rimward, where it says Rimward. Up.
Nope.
Okay, move your cursor up. Stop.
Oh, the Halo stars.
Right there. Yeah. So that's where Port Wander is over that way. This is the Imperial Naval Station that serves as a gateway to the Cronus Expanse. Then, if you take your cursor and you look to the northwestern side of the map, that's the Malthian subsector.
Ah, okay, there. Well,
the Malthian subsector is one of the most densely populated regions. It's centered on the hive world of Malthi, a world with a history of political violence and assassination and nearly endless power struggles between rival noble houses. The Malthian subsector was the site of something called Bloody Solstice, which was a catastrophic outbreak of a Cornate murder cult known as the Pilgrims of Hate.
I don't know how the Inquisition didn't find the Pilgrims of Hate.
Well, they did, and they did deal with them, but not until they had some fun out there called Bloody Solstice.
These guys covered in blood, ripping off the arms of their shirts, ripping off the sleeves of their shirts, killing people. Let's hear what they're saying. Skulls for the Emperor. Nah, totally loyal.
Now, if you go down to the very bottom of the map to the southeast,
okay,
the other side. There you go. That's the Hazaroth Abyss, or the Hazaroth subsector, which I've always I love the name Hazaroth. What a cool name. The most ill-omened and dangerous subsector of the region. This is where you have the first known visitation of the Tyrant Star, which was called the Tanis Incident, and it annihilated over 2 billion people.
Just a casual 2 billion.
Yeah, just for fun.
Just came out and was like, Exodia, obliterate.
2 Deathwatch watch stations and a capital ship's task force here were destroyed by unknown assailants. The only clue carved into a surviving bulkhead read, "The worms that walk have come for us all." It is heavily implied that the Slouth, which is an alien race that tend to be like walking humanoid worm swarms, it is believed that they are either native to this region or have some sort of hidden base here in the Hazaroth Abyss.
Every time I heard about them, I always thought that one enemy from Resident Evil 5 that's just a bunch of leeches making itself look like a person.
I mean, that's not a bad way to put it.
Yeah.
If you go directly north from that, you'll find the Josian Reach. The Josian Reach is where you have the Corward Edge. This is everything to the east of here is closer to the Imperium, basically. And this is where we get Finks World. Finks World is kind of our Mos Eisley. You know, it is a notorious den of criminal activity, vice, and illicit trade.
All right, look, that sounds like the best place.
I mean, it's definitely nasty.
You could probably get some salt there. Or wait, is it south or sight that gives you psychic powers temporarily?
Sight, I believe.
Yeah, sight, right?
I think I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, because I know that the Eschers can make it, and then somehow it gets all the way out here, and it's kind of crazy that, you know, all the way from Necromunda, that drug can make it all the way out here.
Yep. I love it because it's yet another connection between Dark Heresy and the official lore of 40k. Even if it's Necromunda, which is 40k adjacent, it's still really it's worthwhile.
Also, it's definitely not something that GW just took directly from Dune.
No, not at all. The periphery region is to the north, and that's the epicenter of one of the most significant ongoing conflicts. House Severus, which is one of the original founding noble houses, it harbored a grudge against the Imperium for denying them control over the region after the Angevin Crusade. And so Duke Severus the 13th began expanding his power covertly. He used a Dark Eldar cabal known as the Children of Thorns to conquer weak planetary governors nearby. And
I
then
do want to add something to this really quickly. The Children of Thorns are actually in the Dark Eldar book. So that's really cool that, you know, there's another connection.
There's so many. So Severus then declared the world his personal fiefdom, the Severan Dominant, and formally seceded from the Imperium. Sector Lord Hax declared him a traitor and lobbied for the Spinward Front conflict, which was a grinding multi-faction war involving the Imperium, the Dominants, Orcs, and of course Dark Eldar. This is the setting for Only War. Let me see here. There's also, lastly, there's that big green cloud. That's the Adrantis subsector. You see that, a big green cloud there in the middle?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is the Adrantis Nebula, which is a pretty major, between the Hazaroth Abyss and this, those are like two of the biggest like landmarks of the region. There's also a hive world here called Bearspine, which is famous for its artificially regulated weather and the particular atmospheric structures that define its cityscape.
There's Bearspine.
Yeah.
What a great name, by the way.
Well, I can't take credit for these. These were existed before I showed up. Yes, using Dark Eldar as allies, that will definitely end well.
It only ends positively for the Drukhari.
Yeah, no.
Actually, sometimes not even for the Drukhari. Half the time they mess it up too.
Let's talk about some key worlds. I'm going to rely on you, Alexis, to find some of these, so be ready.
All right, I'm going to try my best.
Scintilla, the middle one there, you can't miss it. It's the jewel of the sector capital, the most heavily populated world in the Calixis sector. It's dominated by two immense hive cities, Hive Sibelius and Hive Tenebra. I'm sorry, Hive Tarsus. Hive Tarsus. It was Tarsus. Tarsus is on Scintilla. So Tarsus and Sibelius are the two biggest hives on that planet. I don't really know what else to say here. There are notable features of Scintilla include Ambulon, a massive city mounted on enormous walking legs that perpetually traverses the wastelands.
Oh yeah, that's one of Arkan Land's designs.
It is. Gunmetal City, which is a city
Arkan Land crawler.
There's also Gunmetal City, which is an enormous weapons manufacturing hub renowned across the sector. And Hive Tenebra, this is where I was getting to. Hive Tenebra is a largely abandoned and cursed settlement whose underhives are home to horrors rarely spoken of. So you have your own Necromunda if you want it, right here on Scintilla.
I also love that you basically have the bullet farm.
That's right. The moon of Lachesis orbits Scintilla. This is home to the Bastion Serpentis, which is the location for the Tyrantine Cabal. The Tyrantine Cabal is a group of inquisitors studying and tracking the Tyrant Star as it appears from time to time throughout the sector.
Don't some of them just go missing for hundreds of years at a time?
Yes. All right, now look for Saphir Secundus, if you would. Saphir Secundus is a hellish mining world.
Is that in the same subsector?
I don't know.
Oh, wow. I actually just found it.
You just right there. It is in the same subsector. Look at that. Saphir Secundus is entirely owned and ruled by a very narrow nobility whose opulent ice palaces float above the frozen wastelands on Suspensor fields. That's kind of awesome.
This is called the Lands Floater. It's not. I'm joking.
Millions of serfs labor in misery in the great mines on Saphir Secundus. It extracts the vast mineral wealth that makes this world one of the sector's 3 most economically vital.
Now, you say suffer, they are given the opportunity to advance their work through.
Well, on Saphir Secundus, the whole thing is set up as a feudal world, and the serfdom is part of the religious institution because the serfs are not only bound by law but by religious conviction. It's kind of a powder keg, though, because obviously the degraded serfs and the nobility in their floating castles, that is absolutely a powder keg waiting to go off.
The children yearn for
the children
mines,
yearns for the mines. Giddy and gleeful. Now look for Iocanthos, if you would.
Okay.
Iocanthos is a war-torn agri-world. It is defined by perpetual grinding warfare between dozens of warlord factions competing for control over a psychoactive crop called Ghostfire pollen. This is the primary ingredients of combat stimulants that are used across the sector and into the main Imperium itself. The world's spiritual heart is a place called the Abbey of the Dawn, which is a fortified ecclesiarchy presence fighting an endless battle for the souls of the war-scarred populace. When St. Drusus took this world in a single week during the Angevin Crusade, he did so by overthrowing the great tyranny of the day. But ever since then, wars have never stopped on the surface of Iocanthos. Yeah, Mad Max meets Dune. Good way to put it, Nestor Vitembra.
It really is.
Did you find it?
Nope.
Oh, great. Let me take a quick look, see if I can locate it. I used to be able to pick all these out at a moment's notice, but my eyes are a lot worse now.
Have you tried bionics?
I mean, I'm gonna have to get some bifocals here not too long in the future. Oh, Iocanthos, where are you?
Yeah, I'm not
well, we'll locate it eventually.
Anyway.
Anywho, yeah, so that's Iocanthos. There's the Lathe Worlds, which you know where those are.
I see those.
So this is the most strategically important location in the entire sector. 3 planets granted in perpetuity to the Adeptus Mechanicus in recognition to their service from the Angevin Crusade.
Now, I do have a question for you, Ross. If you were given this lore back to keep writing, okay? GW is like, we want you to expand this. Would you actually expand the Mechanicus with everything that is there today?
Absolutely. 150%.
Okay.
And Iocanthos is the green dot to the right and above the scintilla, if you want to picture.
Green dot to the right
of scintilla,
and above.
Lower. Stop. Right there. Up.
Oh, yeah. No,
up,
I just saw
up. Stop. Down a little bit. Step right there.
Oh, yeah. There it is.
Iocanthos. Anybody listening to this and not being able to see the map is going to wonder what the hell we're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
So the Lathe Worlds are massive forge worlds now. They have been given entirely over to factory complexes and machine temples and production facilities. The Lathes are politically independent of the sector governance. Lord Governor Hax has no jurisdiction over them. Okay. They bow only to the will of Mars.
So, Ross, I have another question for you. Do you know which faction within the Mechanicum it would be? Like, which forge world would you want it to be?
No, the Lathe Worlds are the Lathe Worlds. They have no greater loyalty.
No, I mean, if you could pick one of the factions for it to be like.
Well, I was about to talk about they have some specific factions in the Calixis region. There's the Divine Light of Salex, which is a sect on the nearby death world of Hadrak that is very important to the overall. It is important to the Adeptus Mechanicus in this region.
Okay.
And there's the Lord's Dragon, who are kind of like a internal inquisition of the Adeptus Mechanicus, also that are part of it. I don't see them being attached to any particular Forge World, although if they were to do it, I would maybe go Metallica.
Yeah. I was either thinking it's gonna be Stygian 8 or Metallica. Because it doesn't have a Ryza feel to it, because there's not enough plasma coming out of it.
No. All right, then. So if you look at the Malthian subsector, which is up in the upper left again, there should be a world called Malthi in that region.
I saw that one earlier. Yeah.
There it is. Malthi, the world of knives. Malthi is the most politically volatile world in the sector. It's a hive world with a long tradition of assassinations, betrayal, and warfare between noble houses. There is a region called the Reign of Terror, not that long ago, probably about 400 years ago, where the brutal House of Koba seized power and nearly triggered a sector-wide civil war. This left behind a lot of deep scars, and the Pilgrims of Hate cult launched their first major recorded atrocity here just about 100 years later during the Bloody Solstice, and they nearly brought the entire world to its knees. Malfi continues to be a nexus of conspiracy and corporate espionage and heresy, which makes it a prime hunting ground for inquisitional acolytes. Malfi is where you go to find mutants and cults and intrigue and shadows and double dealing and leads towards other horrible things happening elsewhere in the region. It's the place Batman goes to put somebody up against the wall and say, "Tell me what you know about the Syndicate." You know, Malfi is kind of space Gotham for this particular region.
Now, I have to ask, when you say mutants, all right?
Yeah.
What pops into your head? Are you thinking the rogue trader mutants who have like the weird shaped bodies and everything where it's like a head with arms and legs sticking out of it? Or
mutants can take a lot of different forms. They can be just a guy with gills. They can be just a guy with a little tentacle under his armpit. It can be a mass of tentacles with just a vague resemblance to humanity. Mutants can run the gamut between
so you were
grotesque
thinking
and
like describe the mutants you want in that setting.
closer to the grotesqueries, I think. Yeah.
Oh, so you want like body horror mutants?
Yeah, Cronenbergian type stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of what I'm thinking. All right, then we've got Quadus. Quadus is the world of pleasure. It is a world of decadent aristocrats and extraordinary wealth. It is home to the ancient Harlock family estate and site of the famous Festival of Tattered Fates, a once-per-year gathering of the ultra-wealthy from all across the sector, held in a maze-like carnival setting where fortunes change hands and destinies are shaped. It is a lot of fun over there on Quadus. Syndicalist Wallower says, I give Malfi a French vibe, and the population outside the hives are Cossacks. I also gave them a Foreign Legion penal regiment. Yeah, that actually makes sense to me. I like that. The PDF are the gendarmes. That's France is not a bad way to think of it. I think maybe Venice during Carnival will be another one to maybe think about.
Also, do you see that the avatar they're using?
Yes.
It's a warlord with the Bass Pro fishing shop pyramid.
That's what it is. Oh my god, that's so cool. Nicely done. The middle of the pink cloud, you could find Quadus.
Yep, I got it.
All right.
That was one of the few ones that I found right away.
Awesome.
But
I know. So lastly,
Chat,
I need
thank you.
Find Mara is the last one I need you to find.
Okay. We got this.
So Mara is the frozen grave. It is an ancient snow-covered world in the Hazaroth Abyss. So lower right is where you'll find it.
All right.
Mara should be in there somewhere.
Oh, that's Malice. Whoa.
Yeah. The word of Malice. Middle of the purple cloud, they said. There it is. Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah. So Mara, all contact was lost about 700 years ago with Mara amidst a warp disturbance, and there is no trace of the former inhabitants has ever been found. Deep beneath the ice lies a thing called the Blind Tesseract, a prison vault constructed by Erasmus Harlock to house his terrible experiments. Mara is, of course, the setting of one of the big adventures in the Harlock's legacy, as is Quadus. Part of the reason why they're such neat little places. But we can't talk about the Calixis sector without talking more about the Tyrant Star. Alexis, why don't you tell us, what is the Tyrant Star?
Oh, that's a good question. What is the Tyrant Star?
Yeah, well, what do you think it is?
It is a warp anomaly that can swallow entire planets. I don't know how to actually quantify it, because to me it feels like a black hole that took the form of a planet / black hole.
It is a strange phenomenon that does appear from time to time throughout the sector. The Inquisition has designated the Hereticus Tenebrae, the Black Doctrine or the Shadow Heresy. And according to a prophecy called the Propheticum Hereticus Tenebrae, this is an archive of doom-laden visions and case studies and prognostications compiled by the Tyrantine Cabal, which again is the group of inquisitors studying this thing. They have placed these prophecies on the moon around Scintilla, the Bastion Serpentis, and this prophecy that they have there, it speaks of a darkness that will engulf the worlds of humanity, preceded by events that herald the arrival of something truly awful, and will gradually transmute human minds, making them ready to embrace the darkness. This foretold darkness is meant to be accompanied or perhaps heralded by a celestial entity called Comus, or the Tyrant Star, described in the prophecy as a black sun or a halo of black flame marked by an unholy rune resembling a clawed bird's foot.
So, unironically, it kind of sounds like the arrival of like Amaterasu from Japanese mythology.
I mean, that plus the Blair Witch is probably not a bad way to think of it.
Or Cthulhu, like Cthulhu monsters.
Grush says the Tyrant Star was used in the Rogue Trader video game. Is it in there?
Honestly, I forget. I
don't
beat that game when it came out, and then I played it again when the Dancer came out.
But it's definitely going to be part of the Dark Heresy game for sure. So let's do that. No one seems to know exactly what Comus is. Theories amongst the Inquisitions. The Inquisition believes that it could be a warp space star trying to translate into real space, maybe some kind of artificial construction driven by incomprehensible Xenos engines. The Uvath were known to use energy constructs that are not unlike a star in a very small space. Then there's some people believe it's a ghostly stellar body from the immaterium bleeding through the worn fabric of reality. And some people think it might be a manifestation connected to the machinations of a single obsessed, near immortal rogue trader, Erasmus Harlock. Some scholars note that the word devourer appears repeatedly in the prophecy, suggesting a connection to the Tyranids, but the Tyranids have never shown up here. So
I always found that connection to be kind of meh, because the Tyranids are just not in this at all.
Right.
Like, I think there's a gene stealer in the book for when you're on Space Hulks.
Creatures Anathema has a lictor as well. And I think that was the only other one we did.
Yeah, just Vanguard organisms.
Now, the manifestations of the Tyrant Star that are described in the book, it is described as a black sun matching the prophetic descriptions, spontaneously materializing in a planetary system somewhere in the sector. It appears with little warning. It emits these black flames, this unknown radiation, usually eclipses the system's primary star as if possessing it, blotting it out for days before vanishing.
You know what this sounds like?
Go ahead.
This sounds like when Drukhari steal the sun.
Right. That's what Rush was talking about when he mentioned Rogue Trader, is the moment where they had the Dark Eldar stole a sun in that game.
Yeah.
Which, who knows? Maybe they were inspired to do that by this, because I don't think they were stealing suns back in 2008. Anyway,
I don't think so.
Each visitation of the Tyrant Star is accompanied by a massive psychic disturbance, geological upheavals, mass rioting, mass insanity, surging mutation rates. In the century prior to this one, in the timeline of Rogue Trader, Tyrant Star has manifested at least 18 times in the Calixis sector. Every single visitation has caused massive public unrest and instability wherever it goes. So it is a very dangerous, nasty thing to have happen.
It almost sounds like more sleep.
It is a little bit like more sleep.
Yeah.
Of course, we did mention the Tannis incidents. This is the most catastrophic recorded instance of the Tyrant Star. It caused over 2 billion dead or missing. The survivors were found only on an agramoon. The Inquisition subsequently declared the Tannis system and all records of its existence forbidden knowledge, erasing it from public imperial records. So,
ow.
Yeah.
The Herald of the Space Skaven. Yeah, it could be.
It could be. It could be a lot of things. The Harlock's Legacy series of adventures and the Harlock dynasty of Rogue Traders seems to be connected to it. And if you read those books, it does present a very specific origin of the Tyrant Star, which is Erasmus Harlock trying to time travel back into the past to stop the deaths of his wife and daughter, his family, basically.
No, he's trying to stop Baku. Somebody's going to get that reference.
I get it. Yeah, got to go back to the past. Samurai Jack.
Yep, there you go.
Foolish samurai. Now, that is the Tyrant Star and all that stuff. But we do have a question here from Dyer648. Could the Tyrant Star have something to do with the Emperor's chaotic persona of the Dark King? That is not something we had in the lore back then. But I personally say yes, absolutely. There's no reason why it couldn't have a connection to that.
That is okay. That is such a good Inquisitor character coming up. In universe, you can see Inquisitors coming up with that as on debates.
So the Inquisition, as I said before, Ricky Chapman, he is a RPG enthusiast and likes to tell us about his campaigns. Ricky Chapman says, we enjoy the idea it's an Umbra that is trying to pull its smaller kin into itself until it is whole, and an insane old one is resurrected. Ooh.
That's actually pretty sick. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Could you do me a favor and explain who or what the Dark King is for Acme Zebra?
So the Dark King is essentially an alter ego of the Emperor himself, or the Emperor himself, depending on how you want to look at it, that was cast aside or subsequently created by the Emperor. There's a lot of ifs and ors here because the Emperor did pull part of his psyche out when he had to fight Horus. The Dark King is one of those personas, possibly, where it is just the Emperor, as brutalistic as possible, fell to chaos, destroying everything. It's a really cool way of looking at the Emperor.
As far as the Umbra, because that was what Ricky Chapman described, they are an alien species that was brought out in Xenology, which is a absolutely horrible background book that no one should ever reference. But it's in that book, Umbra was these smooth black spheres that drift in space and congregate near warp active locations. They can turn shadows into physical weapons. And it is theorized in the book Xenology that they may be fragments of a god worshipped by the Crud named Qua. And Qua might be an old one. This is theory, even in Xenology, which I will remind you is a extremely unreliable resource. But it is
even
technically
GW itself said it's not canon.
I mean, Yeah, the Umbra might be another example of sharding. Yes,
Yep.
Professor Chap. So great that Rick Chap. I think it's great you pulled on that thread because Umbra. I would like to see something to do something fun. There's ways to rescue things from xenology, and the Umbra is like one of the things you probably could rescue out of there pretty
They'll
easily.
never rescue the Eldar poop crystals.
I kind of hope that they don't. All right, so the Inquisition is big in this sector I talked about before. There's the Tyrantine Cabal. There's the Conclave. There's the Bastion Serpentis. There's the Tricorner Palace. Now, what you need to know is that the Tyrantine Cabal has a secret inner circle called the Tenebrae Collegium. And this is a organization conceived by the brilliant Inquisitor Casilda Cognos, who's now dead. But it is a place to train and recruit agents called shadow agents that go across the sector to gather intelligence on the Tyrant Star while operating outside of the formal conclave structure. In a lot of ways, the Tenebrae Collegium and shadow agents, they are rogue traders. Sorry, they're dark heresy groups. They're cells of acolytes. You could easily be one without too much trouble. There are factions, of course, within the Inquisition, and the Calixis sector has no small shortage of those. There's the Amaltheans. These are Inquisitors who believe that the Emperor's plan is immutable, and they seek to preserve the status quo. There's the Recongregators. These are radicals who believe that only radical change can save the Imperium from stagnation and doom. They're covertly working to fix things from within. There's the Xanthites. These are radicals who believe the weapons of chaos must be used against it. And this includes using demon hosts and forbidden warp lore. There's the Isvanians. Yeah, right. There's the Isvanians. These are extremists who believe that conflict and suffering and strengthen humanity. They deliberately engineer crises to forge better people of the Imperium.
I'm actually using a group of those in my next Imperial Maledictum campaign. And what they're doing is they're testing the planetary enforcers.
And lastly, there's the Monodominants. These are ultra-Puritans who believe that only pure, unmodified humanity has a right to exist. The Monodominants will exterminate psychers and mutants and abhumans alike. Anything that is not pure human must go.
Yeah, that's smart. Kill all the navigators.
I mean, I presume that they grudgingly accept navigators as a requirement.
Kind of like the Black Templar.
Yeah, along with astropaths. So, no, I presume they're okay with Mechanicus because what flesh is left on the Mechanicus is definitely human.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got some threats. You've got the Pilgrims of Hate. We talked about them a couple times. They're the most notorious chaos cult still active in the sector. A coordinate apocalypse cult. They are defined by nihilism and terrorism and the methodical destruction of worlds. Their core doctrine teaches that civilization and faith and reason and love are all lies engineered by the Imperium, and that the only truth in the universe is destruction.
The Imperium loves you, and we hate that.
We hate
the Imperium? Don't put words in our mouth.
Right. They recruit from the downtrodden, the desperate, and the criminal. They operate like a cancer cult. They quietly establish a hidden cell that grows from within until they achieve a critical mass, basically. And then they orchestrate cascading campaigns of terrorism and mass murder, and ultimately trying to summon demons before slipping away to infect another world.
Which is kind of weird for a, cult dedicated to Khorne to try to summon. But then again, Khorne is a complete hypocrite and loves psychers. Loves killing them.
He does not care, famously, where the blood flows.
Mm-hmm.
There's also the Logicians. This is one of my favorite groups. The Logicians are a heretic conspiracy. Not heretic, heretic.
Ross, what is a heretic?
Heretics are those that go against the strictures of the Adeptus Mechanicus or the Cult Omnissiah.
Such as innovating and creating new things.
Those can be very much heresy. But the logicians, they believe that progress must be driven to its ultimate conclusion by seizing power and eliminating the rigid orthodoxy of the Imperium of Man. They were orchestrated a thing called the Meritech Wars, which posed a great internal threat to the sector's stability about 600 years before the current date. They infiltrate the Adeptus Mechanicus and rogue tech guilds and scientific establishments across the sector, pursuing their forbidden research in forbidden places. So anytime you want to use some
Stygian 8.
Anytime you want to use some Dark Mechanicum stuff, you can use the Logicians. They're very, very cool. And then we've got this Slough. Let's take down this map for a second.
Alrighty.
And I will go find an image of the Slough because these guys are just awesome.
The Slough are pretty cool.
They're an alien species that seems, again, to exist within the Azeroth Abyss. They are, well, they look a lot like worm colonies that walk like a man. Let me see if I can bring up an image here. I can. It's just not great. But it should suffice. All right, so I'm going to add this share screen. And there we go. That is what a Slough looks like right there.
He's just worming around.
Yeah. Just all squirming.
I wonder how many, what type of worms they actually are.
So this is an alien species that's commonly called the worms that walk. They are barely understood. They leave almost no direct evidence of their existence. They can wear meat suits made out of hollowed out humans to walk amongst us if they wish, which is not creepy at all. Their true nature, extent, and goals remains almost entirely unknown, but they do have a very 50s alien vibe in that their ships are described as black saucers, and their weapons are essentially death rays that they blast you with. They are very nasty, awesome villains.
They fear, this is not a thing, but they fear Tzeentch because Tzeentch is birds and birds eat worms.
It's definitely not a thing. There's there's some other demonic entities in the region. There's Balfamail, the voice of the flame. There's the Dusk Hag, which is a dread entity who is said to inhabit the cursed world of Dusk, also called Old Mother Ruin, which I love.
That's such a great name.
There's a guy called the Lord of Misrule. There's a guy, they call, occasionally they have a guy they call the Night Traveler or the Kinslayer, said to herald the end of days. They believe that to be Solomon Harlock, is the Night Traveler. And then there's a legendary avatar of madness, also called the Radiant King, somewhere within the sector. Yeah. And the Burning Princess, which is a very powerful psyker we covered on our most powerful psykers tier list, if you want to go check out more about her.
There's also the minor character of the Trice Possessed.
Why don't you talk about her?
Okay, so this was a noblewoman who absorbed Keepers of Secrets until Slaanesh granted her Demon Princehood, which means that she is one of the few just basic normal human, normal in big quotes right now because she's super powerful if she could do this, women who just became a Demon Prince of Slaanesh. That's pretty much all the lore we have for her. She apparently appears in another novel.
Interesting. She's definitely something I know was not very much on my mind. I think when I was working on this, I kind of considered her more of a legend than a real thing. But
yeah, that's the way it's written too. Is that she was this person?
Well, let's see. We talked about Port Wander and Footfall. That's where you get into the Cronus Expanse. The setting for Rogue Trader. We're not going to cover that too much because that's not about what this episode is for. How does one absorb a demon, do you think? Rush
so
asked.
they do kind of explain this. She allowed herself to be possessed, and then through sheer willpower, she commanded the demon and used it as a battery until she used it for eternal youth and beauty. And then when it started to slip, she simply summoned another one. You know, like you do. Keep in mind, this character has no explanation for how they did this. She just summons giant demons and eats them.
All right, so let's talk about the sector's uncertain future, because the Calixis sector was, of course, last touched, back in 2013, maybe 2014, and it has been in a state of slow escalating crisis in all of its writings. There's the Jericho Reach, the Accolades Crusade, which is draining resources out. There's the Spinward Front, which is drawing attention and armies. It's a big meat grinder up there. The Tyrant Star is not slowing down. It's showing up more and more often. And the great chaos cults are continuing their patient and very cancerous spread across the region. Overall hangs the prophecy of the Hereticus Tenebrae, the doom that the finest minds of the Inquisition cannot seem to fully understand, let alone prevent. So it's kind of in a dark place when we left it last. Hey, Ice Veins, he says, you might have already covered this, for I have arrived late. Did you cover a theory that the Tyrant Star is a Satan? A black sun that drives people insane and destroys reality. It could be a Satan.
That's more or less how I always ran it. Was that it was a Satan or a Hrud?
God, no, not the Hrud. Satan would be way cooler because they are the star gods. And the way that Comus behaves certainly sounds like possibly a Satan, or it could even be in a fragment of the Yuvath Empire left behind, because again, they were very into energy constructs and things like that, and warp power.
Who's to say they didn't worship a Satan?
That is entirely possible. So yeah, it's not out of the question. So in the wider lore context of the modern 41st millennium, the post-Great Rift or Era Indomitus era, the sector's fate is unrevealed, unresolved. The official canon does not tell us what's happened up there, but we can speculate.
Not ending a story? What?
We can speculate. The Screaming Vortex almost certainly has grown since the fall of Cadia. The collapse of warp routes and the severing of astropathic communication probably plunged the sector into deep instability. I would say that Calixis, with being infiltrated by a bunch of chaos cults and proximate to several warp storms and having those ongoing conflicts right next to it, is probably amongst the most immediately imperiled sectors in the Segmentum Obscurus. It's probably in serious trouble. Let's put it that way.
Just a wee bit.
However, it probably still persists because the sector the St. Drusus built survived 2,000 years of darkness and rebellion and Xenos and chaos. Whether or not it survives the final coming of the Tyrant Star is the question the lore leaves deliberately and ominously unanswered. But is it still around in the Era Indomitus? I believe yes, it is.
Well, I mean, if the Storm Wardens are still around and we have proof that they are still around.
I mean, very possible. Ricky Chapman says, fun fact, the Maggot Men almost killed Alfarius Omegon in their Primarch book and absolutely slaughtered his Terminator guards. Oh, wow. Yep. Which book is that, Ricky Chapman?
I think that's I Am Alfarius.
Wow,
or is that just Alfarius, the Primarch series?
I'd like to read that because the Sloth are really, really cool. And they get involved in a lot of fun stuff.
They're also just a really cool enemy because they can infect people. Like, that's really neat.
A few things we didn't talk about in terms of the stuff in there. Sinofia is a world we didn't touch on. That's a frontier world with a very decayed and rain-soaked civilization built atop grand but crumbling architecture. It was a launch point for parts of the Angevin Crusade, and they thought this was going to be the sector capital, so they invested a lot of time and energy into it, but it slid into stagnation and corruption and crime. And its populace is caught between apathy and desperation. It's characterized by failing institutions, timid authorities, but lots of cults and smuggling rings and old crusade secrets. It's a very noir place for
This sounds
acolytes to
like
go
Great
adventure.
Britain. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, it's so cool. We talked about Maccabeus Quintus, the shrine world and major center of the Drusine cult. It is famed as the site where Drusus was assassinated and then rose again. And it's dedicated, of course, to him with lots of shrines and reliquaries and pilgrimage routes. But it's also the world from which you get the Maccabean Janissaries Imperial Guard or Astromilitarum Regiment, which is important. Sacris is a forbidden world, home of the Stormwardens chapter. It is basically, it's kind of a world that's based on the Scottish moors and highlands. So it's very rocky and wet and foggy and things like that. And then the last one I want to talk about is a world called Woe. W-O-E. Whoa. Whoa. Whoa to you.
Whoa.
And Woe is a death world that is kind of unique because Woe is described as a very swampy world with a lot of strange things on it. Bogs, poisonous wildlife, foul mists. But there's part of Creatures Anathema that I wrote that strongly implies that Woe is actually a sentient living planet, that the ecology is too coordinated and responsive to dismiss as ordinary predators. Its hazards appear to react to intrusion as though components of a single system were defending the world. And the Inquisition, that the Inquisitors who investigated it, believe that there may be a form of consciousness in the planet itself. Not a proven fact, but a possibility.
Uh-oh, you did it.
AWA. Well, I like the next one down, says it's AWA.
Yeah, that's good.
So that is the last planet I wanted to talk about. Let's talk about those Yuvath really quick. The species that was before the region was conquered and settled. It's a fallen empire that left behind much of the occult technology and ancient ruins in the sector. Yuvath were a warp-worshipping Xeno civilization. They once ruled the Calixis expanse, and their remnants still haunt what's left behind. They were wiped out around 2 millennia ago by the Ancient Crusade. Their sorcery and techno-arcane constructs are fueled by the souls of species that they enslaved and killed in turn.
So it's almost like evil Eldar stuff.
A little bit. Their worlds are called Calix Hell Worlds, and they were reshaped into nightmare landscapes of cyclopean ruins, labyrinthine undercrust warrens, and dire symbols of warning of sorcery and doom. So
we call that Hot Topic.
It's basically like, imagine evil Stonehenge as an entire planet, and that is a hell world of the Calix. That's a Calix hell world of the Yuvath. We don't know a lot about them, but we do know that they expended lives and souls to power their warp technology. They built horrors on their hell worlds that were so terrible, the Angevin Crusade chroniclers were forbidden to record them. Their slave armies and warp-ridden constructs bled Imperial forces for decades, and they fought battles even against the Titan legions like Legio Venator. So,
oh damn, they could fight Titans.
The Yuvath were the final serious organized Xenos resistance to Imperial rule in the Expanse. Their defeats and the exterminatus of their homeworlds. So the hell worlds are still there. They're just empty of life. This marked the end of the Angevin Crusade's major opposition, and this is when Drusus could declare the crusade complete, is when the last of the Hell Worlds fell. Some people believe that the Yuvath may have been involved in Drusus's assassination, but that is just a rumor, right?
Ooh, I got one for you, Ross.
That's just a rumor.
Would you like to see the Yuvath explored more?
Yes.
As an army for the tabletop game.
Yes, I would absolutely love it. Their influence still lingers in the sector because their relics exist. They're just rare and extremely dangerous. Their warp tech can drive explorators, that's the tech priests from Mars that go to seek these things out, can drive them completely mad or cause mass destruction. Imperial authorities strictly restrict chronicles of their defeat, and the details of their technology are under major lock and key, basically. There are large vault complexes on a planet called Designate 22818, which is Yuvath ruins, and the Disciples of Thule is a Mechanicus faction of the Calixis sector, noted amongst the first to discover remnants of Yuvath society and artifacts. And the Disciples of Thule are basically the ones that are going around and trying to gather and collect as much Yuvath tech as they possibly can. Do you want a warp-tainted dungeon crawl? Then that is what a Hell World is for.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely amazing.
So the book is Alfarius, head of the Hydra. They also reveal that the Sloth are connected to the Rangdan. Oh, hey, that's awesome. Okay, I'm gonna have to check that one out, because the guy who created the Sloth also created the Rangdan, and that's pretty interesting. Alfarius, head of the Hydra. That is now going on my reading list. I love it. Mike Brooks. Hey, he's a guy I really like, and all of his Alpha Legion books have been really good. So I want to check that one out for sure. Thank you for telling me about that one. All right, so that's the Yuvath. Since we were talking about the Slough, let's see. The thing about the Slough is that they are impossibly ancient.
Do we have any artwork of these creatures?
The Slough? Yeah, we showed one.
Yeah. No, I mean of the Yuvath.
The Yuvath? I could probably find that.
So I was just thinking about that. I was like, well, we could show people.
I could probably find one. Let me see if I can, if Google will help me out here. Because I know we did some art for it for a Rogue Trader product. Oh, yeah, we did. Okay, wow. Yeah, there's actually, hey, there's a whole YouTube video on the Yuvath Empire. I'll have to go check that out at some point. That's wild. But a lot of their stuff was crystalline. Like the crystals were a big part of their technology. And yeah, I need to just change the size on this so I can find a bigger version of that. There we go. Let's try large. Okay, yeah, there's an image of a Yuvath. Okay. This is not a Yuvath themselves. This is one of their constructs. Let's see, open image, new tab. That's what I want. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna show you an image of one of their constructs attacking somebody. Again, their constructs are very crystal in nature and is connected to warp energies. So just keep in mind that they are not, what you're looking at is not like an actual member of their species, but it's something that they built. And let's go ahead and add that to stage. There we go. That is a Yuvath construct trying to devour an Imperial Navy officer right there.
Actually, that's his best friend trying to comfort him in his time of great need.
You can see the crystals sticking out of the body with also the warp lightning effect on the crystals. That's what their deal is. Kind of, in a way, you could think of them a little bit like the Protoss from Warcraft, because they also use a lot of crystal technology. Anyway, the Slough. We were talking about the Slough. The Slough is a gestalt mass of maggot-like organisms forming a humanoid shape. The worm mass is coated in necrotic mucus and is able to stretch and liquefy and reform itself at will. Slough they can fit through tiny openings. They can squirm underneath doorways, things like that. You're very rarely safe from a Slough. They're driven by a constant hunger for dead flesh, especially brains. And if they eat the brains of a sentient being, they can get access to that being's memories. And also, it kind of creates a narcotic effect. People are basically beer, or your brain is like having a beer. So they are very strong. They're very difficult to kill. Their technology seems to be biomechanical in some ways. They have these necrotic energy weapons, the death rays, that can disintegrate targets. They have cyborg constructs called vassals that scuttle around on cyber spider legs, and harvest brains for their masters. They seem to be native to the Calixis sector, although that is far before the Imperials colonized the region. But they are considered a myth because their contact with humans is extremely rare.
The only thing I can imagine from this is, I'm going to devour your brain, shoot them with disintegrator, they disintegrate. Dang it!
Well, I imagine they have control over those weapons. They did fight the Storm Warden Space Marine chapter in the Great Crusade era. And recognizing that they couldn't beat the Imperium in a straightforward warfare, the Slough shifted towards a long-term strategy of infiltration and manipulation instead. So they seized the Amaranthine Syndicate, which is a human trade cartel in the Calixis sector. So they have a whole mercantile empire of people under their control that they just can run. They can run these ships almost anywhere they need to, deal and trade with just about anyone they need to. They can slip in and out of almost any Imperial world through the Syndicate. They also distribute wealth and advanced technology to clients across the sector. They nudge human factions into conflict with each other and destabilize the Imperial authority from within. They have devices called shroud armor and shroud cloaks to appear as misshapen humans or to turn completely invisible. And as I said, they will sometimes hollow out people to wear their bodies like a meat suit, which they have done on numerous occasions. So if you have a investigation that has a strange trade deal or an inexplicable transfer of wealth or an outbreak of weird death ray kills, then it may be you're following the Slough, because they like to operate through proxies and cutouts and all these horrific bioconstructs. The Slough themselves very rarely appear until the very end of the investigation, and usually in a hostile environment that they're immune to. Comrade, I am totally not a collection of worms.
I am a human named Gregory.
Sure, that's exactly what a human would say, right?
I do regular human things, like have bowel movements and eat brains. Greetings, fellow humans.
Exactly.
See, the bird freaks out.
I mean, that.
Oh my god! Kroot should be their arch enemy.
I mean, that would be interesting to see some Kroot and Slough run into each other. I'm excited that they made their way into the novels. Hopefully, we will see. Games Workshop seems to think that if people are like really excited about certain things, they will bring out more of them. We just got Exodites, for crying out loud. Mm-hmm. So who knows? Anything's possible. If the Slough or the UVath or people are really into any of the stuff from the role-playing games, it could happen that it could come out more into the mainstream. Comrade, eating brains are part of my culture. Don't be racist.
See Space Marine eating somebody's brain? Nah, it checks out.
So, let's see here. Some of the thoughts on the Calixis sector is that it is a magnet for Lovecraftian horrors. It is a place in the galaxy where a lot of the darker aspects of Imperial society like to gather and compress and coalesce into treachery and scheming and corruption. It's just this is a sector seething with those things. That's not to say that it doesn't have your typical Imperial stuff. It has all of that, but it is also seething with heresy and secrets and cults. There is a legacy of tech heresy. There's the Logicians, as we talked about. There's also something called the Sinner's Plagues, which were bio... And it was bio heresy on a large scale. So think of, nano plagues. I mean, this is the Sinner's Plagues. They're not like actually, diseases. They are out of control tech that screws things up all across the sector.
Before you said that, the only thing I can think of is like somebody like murdering somebody and committing adultery and just being like, sorry, I got the plague.
I mean, I can try and find some better examples of it. We have a super chat from Ricky Chapman. Ricky Chapman says, we nearly died to one of those constructs. It is a colossal behemoth composed of bone. We also remember a Slough fought some Relictors in a Space Hulk, showing the ability to alter the perception of technology to look like an ally. That's very much a Slough thing to do. That is very much a Slough thing to do.
That would be super interesting to have them like infiltrate a gene stealer cult.
Well, there are no Tyranids currently there, but the gene stealer cult could change all that.
Mm-hmm.
So these Sinner's plagues were wart-borne epidemics, is a better way to put it. So these biogenetic or what's the word I want to say here? These were engineered diseases. These were things that like a Adeptus Biologus of the Adeptus Mechanicus would be able to construct. And this could create physical lesions and sickness. It could also cause deformity and visible mutations. It would bring about things like religious frenzy and corruption and mental deterioration. It could, in advanced cases, transform you into a monster called the Transfigured, which were these powerful, altered, plague-spreading monsters that used to be people. So think of the Thing plus the Andromeda Strain.
The only thing I can think of is the biologist seeing all of this and just going, oops. Chalk this up to a tactical oopsie daisy and let's record the effects.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with like forbidden experimentation into diseases and the way that it affects human biology. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of tech heresies what I'm trying to get at in this sector. So it's possible that the Calixis sector is full of suppressed Dark Age technology or history related to that. Who knows? Maybe the Calix Expanse, maybe the Uvoth enslaved people who had a lot of STC technology or who had access to Forge World plans from one of the previous, colonizations from Mars. There's a lot of reasons why. But this region was deliberately packed with cults and cabals and weird Mechanicus groups and the Tyrant Star so it could support multiple game lines. And that means its density of all these stories and threats is a feature, not a bug, but it also makes the region very unique. It's kind of a hub for the meta plots of the Warhammer 40k roleplay line in a lot of ways.
I mean, you could even do a whole Necromunda gameplay through this. Like, there are so many different RPG elements to this. You have the full war of only war, the battles that they can do. You have all of Dark Heresy, which is, well, noir style detective work, or it's gun blazing, declaring yourself that you are the best Inquisitor in the history of forever, like I did, which is really fun. Makes the game very difficult. You have, I even played a Titan pilot crew at one point where you and a bunch of friends are operating inside a single Titan.
That would be cool.
Communicating to each other. It was a lot of fun. We used the only war system for that for the tank crew, and we just applied it to a Titan.
Now, you were asking about the Lathe Worlds earlier, and I mentioned that they have their own little sects, their little groups of Adeptus Mechanicus that are there. The Divine Light of Solex I wanted to mention because they are one of the most largest of these subgroups, and they are a militant, weapon-obsessed sect with a history of confronting tech heresy. They are vigilant tech heresy hunters, and they are called the Divine Light of Solex because they like, guess what, las weapons. There's also groups called the Lord's Dragon, the Texorcists.
Nice.
The college cult
execution.
I came up with that one. The college cult Graviticus, There's the Auxilia Myrmidon, which the Myrmidons would be, we would see those later revisited in Dark Heresy, or sorry, in the Horus Heresy, along with the Seculars. The Disciples of Thule. So there's a lot of Calixis-specific Mechanicus groups that had a lot of flavor that would seep into other aspects of the lore as well. I think we've talked about all the groups and planets and plots and main NPCs of the region. What are some other things you'd like to discuss about Dark Heresy?
1 second.
Or, excuse me, Calixis Sector.
There we go. Sorry, I had to move Kovu because he was about to fall off my lap.
Oh no, poor kitty.
I know, he's such a sleepy baby. But when writing this, what was the style of Inquisitor you had in mind?
Well, this was very much building on that original Inquisitor game that Gaff Lorp worked on back in the day with, Titus or Tyrus. Yeah, Inquisitor Tyrus and Artemis, the captain of the Death Watch and all that. So Eisenhorn was very much on our minds. The Scar Sector is actually right next door. So Eisenhorn and a lot of the stuff he does is right next door to the Calixis Sector. And so that is a very, very strong influence. There is a Black Library book set in the Calixis Sector covering some action of Dark Heresy. It's written by Sandy Mitchell. I believe it is. Cool. Is that called just Dark Heresy?
I'm not entirely sure. I don't recall a 40K novel.
Scourge the Heretic and then Innocence Proves Nothing were 2 books by Sandy Mitchell that are basically, they're the Calixis Sector books. If you want to read novels set in the Calixis Sector, go find those 2 novels. They're pretty great. Scourge the Heretic and Innocence Proves Nothing. And yeah, well, Sandy Mitchell's a great author. He's the Cactus Gang guy. So I was like, hell yeah. I was so excited to learn.
Speaking of, look what I picked up today.
Hey, there's Kane and Jurgen. Very awesome.
For the low price of 6,000.
Kroner.
Yes.
Okay. I was just guessing. Is there anything that we've talked about today that you want more information on? So. When writing this, what was your overall idea going into it? Were you just making the setting, or did you have a story that you were thinking about while writing Dark Heresy? Well, a lot of this was set up before I got here, to be clear. There are aspects of it that really called out to me. I really love the idea of Iocanthos as this place as an agri world that's also a Mad Max type setting with chainmail and crossbows and las guns and bolters. I was like, that sounds amazing to me. I always wanted to do more with Iocanthos, so we just never got around to it. Which Iocanthos is, of course, in my opinion, inspired by the Princess Bride and Iocane powder. Remember from that scene? Yep. I think I'm pretty sure that's where that came from. There were worlds that I wanted to do more with, like Woe. As soon as I started writing for Woe, I wanted to do more with Woe. Sinofia always called to me. Malfi always called to me. We got to do quite a bit with the Harlex Legacy series, where we dove into some of the worlds that had been set aside, like Mara and Quadus, and those worlds became really interesting and cool after John and Alan got done writing about them. So it was neat to come in after a lot of the groundwork had been laid and then start building on the foundation that had already existed. So it was a real prestige. It was an honor. And I got to meet a lot of people who were really excited about things that they had submitted to Black Industries before Fantasy Flight got involved, and how that material that they'd written had ended up into developed or touched on in some of the later products. What are some things you want to see fully explored out on the tabletop? Macabian Janissaries, Yuvath Slouth, just to name a few. I'd love to see more stuff from the Lathe Worlds get brought in to the Mechanicum. The Lord's Dragon, I thought was a great name for a secret police of the Mechanicum. I always thought that would be a fun one to do more with. Gunmetal City would be something I'd like to see more done with that. There's the
I'm trying to cross him off my lap, and he won't go off.
There's a thing in the Lathe World called the Panopticon, which is a focal point for stories about like what are the tech priests hiding. There's the Panopticon. It's potentially Archaeotech or Xenos Tech or something even worse. Who knows? More Ordos on the tabletop. Rush says, "Yeah, that would be." Really
Oh my
cool.
God, yes. I'm really liking what GW is doing with Agents of the Imperium going forward. It looks like they're going to get a couple more detachments and things. Is there anything that you would want from your work added to the Agents of the Imperium?
Ooh, well,
because I got one in mind, and I want to see if our brains go to the same place.
Well, I think they should bring back Death Cult Assassins. Number one, yeah. For sure. I think it would be pretty cool to have Scum or Desperados as something that you could bring in, because those are both classes in Dark Heresy and Ascension. That is an underworld guy that we don't really see in Inquisitional retinues, but it would be something that would make a lot of sense to have. Because you can have a cop, you can have an Arbites, why not have also the other side of that coin, right?
Yeah. Do you know what I would want to add to the setting?
What's that?
And they would act like a lieutenant, so they're a support unit. They could attach to inquisitorial agents and sanctifiers, and sister battle squads. It would be the interrogator.
Yeah.
Like just flat out an interrogator, and they just act in the same manner as lieutenants for Space Marines. That could be really cool and add something to the actual Inquisition that they need. Aside from just giving them inquisitorial stamped like Tempestus Scions and, Valkyries. Because I think they need those.
Well, that wouldn't hurt. Yeah. Guy Haley says here, Professor Schaap says, Guy Haley has a group called the Lord's Dragon in a novel set on the planet Electo, and Darktide has a Hive Scum class. Yes, so these things have carried on. That's really, really cool. Tabletop in general, a Deathwatch faction unit would be cool, like one no other chapter gets. That would be very neat. I agree.
Their kill teams are very unique, but I get what you're saying.
Can be. I feel like they do need some sort of unique unit. Yeah,
they got their flyer. That's terrible.
Yeah, the Corvus Black Star.
Yeah, the flying turtle.
Rogue Traders having an army of their own would be pretty cool. Yeah, I agree.
I don't think Rogue Traders should have an army. I do think that they should have an entourage, like they have now, but they should have things that add to that entourage to make it bigger.
There are so many cool things that we created for this setting that are stuff I'd love to come back and touch on. The Slough, they're maggot men. They're Gestalt worm colonies linked to Calixis sector. They harvest corpses. How cool! How cool do they need to be? That's amazing. I talked about Woe, the possibly sentient death world. The Sinner's Plagues, the Hazaroth Abyss, which is a cursed, poorly understood region with an amazing name. It may have entire lost systems within it that we have yet to find. There's the Thranos zone, which is something we didn't cover, which is a dangerous anomalous zone that is associated with a destroyed Mechanicus observation station. In my head, this was always kind of a black box we were just going to leave for game masters to decide what happened there on the Thranos zone, but it's probably a Space Hulk that the Mechanicus was working on, and then something horrible happened.
I like that. That is a setting that I want explored more. I want an RPG expansion that is just a Space Hulk.
There's a group called the Menagerie, which is a network that involves prescribed Xenos creatures and artifacts. This is associated with the Cold Trade, which is famously explored in the Rogue Trader CRPG. The Cold Trade is smuggling of Xenos artifacts and technology and things like that.
Those are totally normal boxes, officer, I swear.
Right. There's Ambulon, the nomad city on vast mechanical legs, which may or may not have been built by Arkan Land.
Yep.
How cool would that be?
I've
Gun,
always wanted to build a tabletop version of that because
yeah,
that would be so cool.
Gunmetal City is really cool. Gunmetal City is as Necromunda as it gets on
Yeah.
Scintilla because it's got gang warfare and all kinds of crazy stuff in it. Hive to Nebra is another that is crying out for an adventure. That's crying out for a source book on it. I could probably write one because Hive to Nebra is that ruined, largely abandoned hive on Scintilla that nobody goes to. It's considered haunted. We should probably write why and how and what's in it because that would be amazing. The Amaranthine Syndicate, which is the front for the Slough, the commercial organization that basically lets them go anywhere and be anywhere and speak to anyone. I think that's horrible, and I would love to explore that more and talk about just how common they are. Like, if I was doing a Dark Heresy campaign, I would have you run into an Amaranthine Syndicate ship on like every world you go to, just to hammer home that they can be anywhere. And there's a lot of critters that we made in the Creatures Anathema book that were a lot of fun that we could always come back and talk more about. There's the Finks World Pit thing, which is a huge, horrible mutant rancor-like beast they keep on Finks World for arena battles. And there's the Simulacra, which are shape-shifting aliens that devour brains. It's thought they may be connected to the sloth because they do like to eat brains, but when they eat a brain, they are able to transform physically into that person and have some of their memories as well.
Ugh.
Simulacra, yeah,
that's always creepy.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird aliens in there. Those are, I think, are the highlights though of the Calixis sector. Oh, the False Men of Nomen Rhind, yes,
yeah.
Oh, good one. Yeah, so we had some really talented writers on Calixis, on Dark Heresy in general. And yeah, the False Men of Nomen Rhind are just really cool. I'm a big fan. Is there any? Go ahead.
I'm checking like all the cool stuff that is in the book, like all the not playable, but things that you can run into. I love that citizens have a stat line. I think that's always funny.
Well, are there Necrons hanging around? There is a world on the map that suggests Necron presence, but we don't. This was before they were really a big thing. So the False Men of Nomen Rhind, for people who want to know what they were, the False Men of Nomen Rhind were basically machine constructs designed to look like tech priests.
Mm-hmm.
So they were not true men of iron, but they were autonomous murder cogitators that could speak and plan and fabricate technology and lead cultists. They were, think of an android that's pretending to be a tech priest. It gets weird from there. Nomen Rhind, of course, is an arch heretic, and he did a lot of really nasty stuff with tech heresy.
Yeah. You guys added dinosaurs into Dark Heresy.
Well, dinosaurs are on several worlds. Iocanthos has some, I'm sure.
Yeah. And then you use the Attilan Rough Rider artwork for the horses, the Beast of Burden.
Yeah.
Which is so great.
Let me see if I can find that map point. Yeah, there's a Cryptus. There's a world called Cryptus in the Drusus Marches. And that was always kind of I always had kind of in mind that Necrons may have been there on Cryptus because it just is the right name for a tomb world. But we never got around to it, and the Necrons were just never that interesting until years later.
Recently, yeah.
They got way more interesting years later, and that's when I would have been like, yes, absolutely. If I could go back and do it now, Cryptus would absolutely be a tomb world.
There's also a
nobody knows about yet. Probably
a creature in here called the Incarnate Lesser Demon which is cool because this is a lesser demon that is unaligned, and it's one of the few times that we get like it doesn't specifically say it's unaligned, but it doesn't have an alignment to like Slaanesh or.
Sincerely doubt we'd ever get away with that ever again.
No,
that feels like something that was from the early 2000s. The Games Workshop now would be like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, unfortunately. And then you got your demon hosts, your plague bearers, your unclean spirits. God, I love this. The enemies in this.
Well, check out Creatures Anathema, because that's the book I worked on, and you'll find a lot of great monsters in there as well.
Let me see if I have that one. Which one was it?
Creatures Anathema is the title.
All right. Give me 2 seconds to find it.
So this is the part of the show where I say, if you've enjoyed our deep dive into the grim darkness of the far future, please do us a favor to hit that like and subscribe button. Help the algorithm spread our heresy to even more unsuspecting minds as we cover even more crazier topics about Warhammer 40k in the future. We have a lot of cool stuff planned. I'm excited to do this one on the Calixis sector, but we have many, many more things to talk about for 40k. While she looks that up, I will say that there are some fun fan theories about the Calixis sector. One of the first is, of course, what is the Tyrant Star? Because fans love to try to pin this down.
That's always great.
The books don't cover it. Like, the books don't actually tell you, but the semi-official answer, because again, this is where the Harlex Legacy Adventures took it, is that it is a manifestation of Harlock trying to travel back through time using the Blind Tesseract. And the Tyrant Star is just a symptom, the visible symptom of his meddling rather than an independent entity. But linking it to the Uvoth as a weapon or a Dark Age of Technology device, that's pretty exciting. Talking about it like it's a Dark Eldar attempt to steal a star is kind of neat too.
I like that one a lot. Oh yeah, has the False Men.
There they are, the False Men of Nomen Rhine.
Yeah.
Watchdog 3079 is super chat. What do you believe is the current status of Calixis and each faction's position in them?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Go for it, Alexis. You got this.
So we know the Storm Wardens are alive. Okay.
How do we know that?
Because they appear in a battle afterwards. Like, we know that they're present in a war afterwards.
Which war?
I forget, but they are in current lore, and there is a war.
All right, I'll believe you. I'll take your word for it. If
they want to be super cool, they could say that their homeworld was destroyed. That could be super awesome, just saying. So we know that chapter is still kicking, but I gotta be real with you. It would be kind of a miracle if a lot of it is still stable. I would say that a good chunk of it is probably taken over by chaos at this point.
Or on fire, or currently fighting against
the cult of what is it? Cult of the Crazed? Or
Pilgrims of Hate.
Pilgrims of Hate. Yeah. I guarantee that warband is now filled with like jackals and shit from the World Eaters. And it wouldn't surprise me if the World Eaters or some World Eaters did show up at that point, or if they started doing the Blood Tithe to summon actual demons in. Because that is one of the ways that demons are summoned of Khorne, is that you kill enough people consistently. This red mist starts appearing, and it's not Godzilla's red mist, it's Khorne's red mist. And demons start appearing from that, taking over either the bodies of the fallen or just being anathemas, which is really cool. So it wouldn't surprise me if like a good chunk of it is taken over. It would be really cool if we got an Arbite army out of this, like an actual official Arbite army, where we get to see like the Repressor back in action. The Arbites actually have like an actual tank, because that would be cool. It would just be really cool to see what could happen here. I guarantee a good chunk of the worlds though are destroyed. Like the Cicatrix Maledictum is torn near this, right?
Yeah, it's and there's warp storms. There's warp storms right nearby. It would be under severe threat for sure.
Yeah. Somebody got my Godzilla singular point reference. What do you think, Ross?
Well, there's a lot of interesting lore for different mysteries and things in the region, but it has always been shown as a precarious frontier region at best.
I love this this totally normal picture.
Oh yeah, that's a tech witch.
Yeah.
That's what's the entry is that one for?
This is Tech Witch of
Tech Witch.
yeah,
I knew it was
Tech
Tech Witch.
Witches.
Yeah, that's got to be connected to the Sinner's Plagues, I think.
Yep.
All right, so Calixis sector in general is probably in bad shape. They were already stretched thin. They were already in a precarious position. I imagine some of the stronger worlds like the Lathes and Scintilla, maybe Sinofia, are probably, still active, still kicking. The Sisters of Battle did have a significant presence there, so that would be like the most largest organized force, like native to the region, plus the Maccabean Janissaries.
Hear me out. They all get corrupted.
Well,
I'd be down for that, but sisters never get corrupted.
Hear me out. Hear me out. We have a male living saint that could return. We have Saint Drusus who could show up.
That is true.
If he is a true living saint and not some kind of weird Xenos thing, which who knows? Because he died and then was reborn and then died again.
He was actually just a bunch of worms, and they had to patch the hole.
Yeah, I think the Mechanicus would be in good shape. I think the Ministorum would still be in good shape, especially with the Drusus marches. That's the Finksroll Pit thing right there.
Yeah,
I wrote that whole section next to it. So I think the Ministorum would be in good shape. The Mechanicus would be in good shape, but everything else would probably be in shambles. Certainly, trade would be a major area that would be almost thoroughly, I would say.
Yeah.
But if here's the thing, you could get reinforcements from the Coronis Expanse. You could pull back from the Spinward Front. You could even have forces that are marshaling for the Jericho Reach that just say, okay, we're not leaving for the Reach, we're staying here. So there are reasons to think that it could be surviving, even thriving in the current era. It just kind of depends on how Games Workshop wants to take it. But good question. Thank you. Do you think a new Crusader military option may occur? It depends. If the Ministorum would almost certainly want to recover it, because it's a very important region for the Ministorum. The Inquisition, same deal. I don't know.
I don't know the current status because I just went and checked of the Storm Wardens. The thing that I was remembering is that they were mentioned in a White Dwarf.
So okay, well, it's
White Dwarf is a grain of salt.
Yeah. The Strixus are from the Coronis Expanse. They are not native to the Calixis sector. You can meet them there, though. Yeah, the Strixus are they are a minor Xeno species of merchants and traders. Kind of look like little weasel guys.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. We have covered, I think, a lot of the really cool bits, but there are some of the more horrifying elements that are from Disciples of the Dark Gods that we should also talk about.
I forgot that the Enslaver is in this.
Yes, I made sure of it. Yeah, because they're so cool.
Weirdly enough, we do know that these appear in the new Dark Heresy game.
Do they?
Yes, there was a fight against one.
Oh, that's awesome. I hope they show what happens to how enslavers enter the world, because it's very Cronenbergian. They turn psychers into living warp gates. That's how they get in. Yeah. That's how they get into our reality.
There's so many grotesque things in this book. Like, you really got to look through this book, everyone. Like, I love the artwork and everything in it. It's so great.
So, yeah, Disciples of the Dark Gods has got a ton of really great stuff in it that would be a part of anything you want to do in the Calixis sector. There's the Beast House, which is a criminal trade in alien and exotic creatures that turns the sector's underworld into a source of bio-horror and illegal experimentation and escaped monster scenarios.
That seems fun.
Icefane says, if I'm correct, this sector of space is my boys the Carcharodon's hunting grounds. I am not aware of that.
I will take a look at that while you explain stuff. And also tell them who the I can't even say that name. Carcharodons are.
The Carcharodons are a Space Marine chapter that used to be called the Space Sharks. They're led by a guy called Tibros the Red Wake. They are of chimeric gene seed that has both Raven Guard and Night Lord aspects to it. They are very ruthless hunters of space, the Carcharodons are. And they are considered one of the more dangerous Space Marine chapters that isn't one of the big five.
They're definitely not loyal world eaters. Don't think about it.
They're definitely not world eaters, but they might be Night Lords.
I don't see a connection from them. It might be mentioned some. No. The Carcharodons and the Calixis sector.
Yeah, I don't know about that either, but it would be cool if they were. So there's the Beast House. There's the Cryptos, which is a covert group. They are mostly into paranoia and secret societies and conspiracy theories. The Cryptos are. This is before Crypto Bro was a thing. We came up with this a while before that. But the Cryptos are good bad guys to do Crypto Bro things. There's the World of Solomon, which is a very cursed world. There's a lot of weird stuff that happens on Solomon. And so it's considered, if you go there, you basically are cursed. And there's a lot of things that are built around that. Typically, this involves the Harlex legacy. And then there's the Halo devices. There's entire YouTube videos about Halo devices. These are weird artifacts that are found in the Halo stars not far away. People who own them gain a naturally prolonged life, but they progressively get more and more inhuman over time. And
they just gotta, summon in a couple of Keeper Secrets and use them as power banks.
Yeah, it's basically a Faustian bargain. If you decide to accept a Halo device, you're like, cool, I get to live longer, but live as what is like the question, because over time you become less and less human and more whatever that is from. Yeah, the Halo stars are actually very, very close. They're on the furthest edge of the rim of the sector is where the Halo stars start. There's a group called the Pale Throng, which is a revolutionary movement that includes mutants.
The Halo stars.
If you want to have a political, social commentary on repression and revolt and imperial atrocities and oppressive regimes, you can use the Pale Throng. They are a very interesting type of threat that the Ordo Hereticus is interested in because it is a threat from within, but it is about people being mistreated, especially mutants. So it's a pretty fun little bit that you can throw in there.
I like that I see a comment that said Norway scored, and then I hear my neighbor yell.
It's the World Cup. Shit's happening out there. It's getting wild.
Well, Norway's got to win.
And as I said, there's just a ton of tech heresy, murder golems and reanimated dead bodies and humanity reduced to tools. It's kind of interesting stuff.
If you look at a lot of the artwork within there, you can actually see like all the body horror that went into like 40K. A lot of this body horror is something that GW did stray away from for a little bit, and then they brought back, which I absolutely love. But I love the like loss of humanity robots that exist that are controlled by techno witches that are sent to destroy certain enemies, and everything in their way just gets cut up and killed. And you have to figure out, well, one, you have to defeat said creature. Then you have to investigate where that creature is from. Then you have to find the very particular tech witch that made it. And then you have to find the order of tech witches she's a part of, or they are a part of. And then you need to find the heretic that's in charge of all of them. So from one little thing in this setting, you have an entire adventure really quickly. And then there could be things like, oh, the Arbites are trying to stop you from figuring out who's actually, controlling these things, because maybe it's somebody higher up in the Arbites. Maybe it's some corruption that's happening there. Maybe those things are actually unleashed on behalf of the Arbites.
If you like Delta Green or Lovecraftian stuff or Call of Cthulhu. Disciples of the Dark Gods has got a ton of that stuff in it. It's got all of those things. And one of my favorite bits from Disciples of the Dark Gods is a group called the Menagerie. We touched on them briefly. They are a Tzeentch-aligned chaos cult. And they disguise themselves often as a traveling carnival or spectacle or mass entertainment. And what they do in their shows is they expose audiences to the truth of the warp, producing waves of madness and mutation and mass spiritual collapse. But the horror is not just that they have monsters and that they run around showing people weird stuff. They try to recruit people from the audience to join them. They seek to change human perception until people can properly see the warp, a revelation that can shatter sanity and claim souls. And their ultimate aim is to make the material realm more compatible with the immaterial. They're trying to undermine the concept of reality itself. And that's horrifying.
That's horrifying.
I love it so much.
I also love that there's just subtle uses of chaos cults everywhere. And some of them have to be used. Like if on the Hive cities themselves, they talk about, well, this is more Necromunda lore, but it does fit within the setting itself. And we know that these exist within all settings. They have things like corpse grinder gangs that just feed the corpse grinding machines, that feed the Hive. And all of those tend to fall to one god in particular, which is Khorne. Which is very weird that it falls to Khorne and not Nurgle, but you know, it's all the blood and guts and everything, I guess.
There's a Khornate's representation of a mystery called the Red Room in the Calixis sector, and it's nobody really knows whether it's a place or a phenomenon or a vision or an actual room that appears whenever enough ritual murders have occurred. Typically, it appears as like a crime scene that's physically impossible, a chamber that's too small to contain the victims, blood that belongs to people who are still alive, voices that you hear that predicting the next murder. It is the idea is that it is an enclosed space of some kind, saturated in blood, haunted by the final cries of the dead. It is very Lovecraft or Call of Cthulhu meets Khorne. It's like here's an expression of Khorne that is incredibly unsettling because you're finding the blood, you're finding evidence of the violence, but it's in places that it shouldn't be. It's in ways that it shouldn't have occurred.
And that's why it's so brutalistic, and I love it. I love seeing like techno heretics that are dedicated to Khorne. Like the Khorne war machines are some of my favorite things in all of 40K. The slaughter bots and things like that.
I remember those guys.
They're so cool, in my opinion. Like Khorne himself as a we always think of Khorne as the slaughterer, the murderer, the like raging lunatic. I love that Khorne as well. That Khorne is like corn on the cob. It is great. It is fantastic. But then you get like the subtle Khorne, like cream corn. That's subtle to me. I don't eat it that much, but it's so good. Because I love when Khorne is actually a more in-depth god of like blood and murder, and all of these murders are connected, and there's like 888 victims, and if you can't stop the murders in time, it summons like a bloodthirster to the planet. Something like that is a really cool thing, because you'll see all these murders and you'll see all these connections and pentagrams and all of this like this stuff, and you'll think Tzeentch, because Tzeentch is the god of like complex plans, and then it turns out to just be Khorne summoning demons into reality using murder, like the
movie From Hell.
Yep.
Yeah, like that. Watchdog 3079 says, the super chat says, any times of chaos being the least horrible thing? Well, technically, the Slough are, I would say, more horrible, and they are Xenos, not chaos. So there you go.
I don't know. The leaks of Votans will hit you with taxes, and that's worse than chaos.
Well, I'm getting ready to put together my final thoughts on Calixis. Do you have something you'd like to say, or do you want to wait for me to go first?
Go for it.
Well, I'm biased. I helped create it. I helped develop it. I have a lot of time and energy sunk into it, and it's something that's very near and dear to my heart. So take this with a giant grain of salt, because this is definitely not an objective discussion of it as a setting. But I think it's one of the most evocative 40K settings, because it understands that the Imperium is at its most frightening and most compelling when it is something that you can experience and immerse yourself into at a level of a normal person. It's not giant wars where you're, part of a, our side versus their side. This is just life in the grim darkness of the far future. And something ancient and terrible is moving underneath all of these stable Imperium institutions, faith, trade, nobility, the police state, but they're all being undermined by something much, much worse. The strongest, I think, element of the Calixis sector is its range, because it has Hive Noir investigations on Scintilla. It's got Noble Decadence on Malfi, Mechanicus Secrets in the Lathes, Pilgrim Wars in the Drusus Marches, the Frontier of the Corona's Passage. You can do a lot of stuff without leaving the sector. And it also, I think, captures a particularly good version of the Inquisition, because the enemy is so rarely obvious. A routine murder mystery might lead you to a noble conspiracy. A trading concern might conceal the Slouth. A carnival could be warp infection from the menagerie, or it might be just a bunch of mutants looking for a home that isn't the Pale Throng Revolution. The acolytes that you play as at Dark Heresy, you are not saving the galaxy in one big decisive battle. You are preventing 1,000 small collapses from becoming an irreversible catastrophe. And the Calixis sector is just brimming with those small collapses to fight, to stop. It has a gothic investigative horror tone that distinguishes it from other aspects of 40K. It's where you find your rusted cathedrals and your poisoned aristocracies and your forbidden archives, your cursed inheritances, bureaucratic cruelty, untrustworthy miracles. Was St. Drusus even a living saint? Or was it just a political maneuver? The greatest mysteries and the innumerable inquisitional connections, they're effective because you don't have to explain anything. Every answer can just uncover a deeper problem, or can lead you to a dead end in equal measure if you really want to. But I think it's still the richest regional setting in the franchise. It gives 40K a lived-in sector, right? It gives it a place where ordinary people have jobs and debts, pilgrimages, rivalries, ambitions. Each one of these seemingly ordinary systems or planets or even hive cities can be exploited by Chaos or Xenos or Paratex or even the Imperium itself. Hey, those Michalesque books, the one Trader Rock specifically. Trader Rock is describing a group called the Temple Tendency, and they were created in Dark Heresy for the Calixis sector. So there's stuff from the Calixis sector that is affecting things throughout the galaxy, throughout the different stuff. Black. I'm sure there will be a Warhammer Plus film someday that talks about something related to the Calixis sector. It's that big. I think it's that influential. It is an ideal place to mine information for your own campaigns, your own characters, your own stories, because it's a place where you can be intensely local and still have really big stakes. It's worth loving because it's not gone. It's not yet lost. It's just on the edge of falling into total collapse. And the Imperium, while compromised and blind and brutal, it still has people trying to protect their homes, preserve their faith, investigate these impossible crimes, and hold back darkness that no one fully understands. And that fragile possibility of survival is what gives the horror in the setting the weight that it does. So Calixis is a chalice of corruption, certainly, but it's also a place where a handful of determined people can still keep the worst secrets buried and save a city from damnation and ensure that the tyrant star does not rise over yet one more world. Those are my final thoughts.
Damn. Ditto.
I get long-winded about this. I'm sorry.
I have several characters that I made that are all from the Calixis sector. I have made a Demon Prince character called by the name of Ego. I have made a character who was a Sister of Battle who got corrupted by the Coronate gang. I have made several different characters that all are from this sector. But this sector, while at first I think GW was like, it's there, not canon, but it's there, has become so much part of the canon that it's almost impossible to separate from Warhammer 40K. It's its own universe, yes, but it's also so influential to the lore around it that it has some of the greatest mysteries, the Halo stars, the fucking more sleep, essentially, which I think is crazy. I love it. It has this Cthulhu-esque adventure to it that shows you that, hell, something like Cthulhu isn't the scariest thing in Warhammer. It has creatures in it that are monstrous abominations of humanity that the Emperor wanted to snuff out. It has something that actually influenced every single RPG I have ever named, which is the Carnival of Chaos, which all of my 40K RPGs have been named the Carnival of Chaos. It is a fantastic setting, and it hits me a little bit personally because the Dark Heresy settings, mostly second edition, but it is because of first edition that it exists, that got me to meet my fiance. Like, it's super impactful on my life personally. Like, I'm getting married to somebody because we played Dark Heresy when he sent an email to the wrong email address. That was also when I found out my personal information was on my YouTube channel. That was an oopsie daisy.
Don't.
But this setting is important to my life. It is literally every book on that is an RPG. Like, that is our RPG shelf. Those are all RPGs. That's D&D, that's Warhammer Fantasy. This is Only War, Dark Heresy, Black Crusade, Rogue Trader, the other Cicatrix Maledictum. What is the one I'm forgetting that I don't really like the game for, but I love the setting. The Middle Ground, the one that was made after Dark Heresy, but before Imperial Maledictum.
Wrath and Glory?
Wrath and Glory.
The one you don't like very much. That's fine.
Well,
the system I created personally with my own two hands.
Yes,
you don't like that.
It sucks, Raw.
That's fine. That's fine. You don't have to like it. We can still be friends.
Yeah, but I love the setting, and I think that's like the best thing about it is you can see that so many people poured everything they had into this to create these like fucking crazy ass stories that capture the grim darkness of Warhammer 40K. I love the murder cults. That's one of my favorite parts. I love that Slaanesh is so under like radar compared to everybody else. But then once you find it, you're just like, oh, that's horrifying. Oh, it's all of the aristocracy. Oh shit. Because I think there's one adventure where there's a literal demonette sitting in a room with them.
Yes.
And it's like,
I remember that one.
Oh, holy shit. Well, I'm killing everybody in this room. It's a fantastic setting. I love it. Yeah, that I can't top what you said, but damn.
Well, do we have any models to look at this week?
I didn't even check for that. So let me go over to the Lorebeards Discord channel, which you guys can join, and Ross is going to throw into the chat for us. And I'm definitely not stalling for time. Don't worry about it.
Our Discord is very active. If you want to join it and be a lore seeker, you can check out the link on the description. It's also where you can find out like what we're planning to do in the future with our shows, and you can get involved. Tell us what you want us to cover in the future, or maybe comments on something you saw here. Also, we will review your miniatures. If you go to the Discord in the 40K chat, there's a forum for posting your miniatures, and we would like to look at them every so often here on the channel. Alexis is a very talented commission painter, and I have judged things. I have judged painting competitions for Games Workshop in the past, so that's where we get our references on that. Yeah, Quadus has a lot of Slaanesh stuff on it, and Malfi.
So there's not too much to look at this week, but we will take a look at what's there. So, boop, bop. Let's toss these up here. First off, we have
terrain.
Some terrain.
Those look like Vasquez rocks. I love it. Very Star Trek.
Now,
big fan.
Where is Discord? There it is. Okay, let me scroll back up and read about this. This is from Cornflakes 8.
Nice.
What
it's remarkably easy to shape terrain with a knife if you have a nice chunk of styrofoam.
Now, what's really cool about the new terrain setting in Warhammer 11th edition is you get these little mats, right? And now you could just put terrain on it. And it's so much better than the older, than 10th edition's terrain, which in my opinion was the worst part of 10th edition, was the terrain. We did our best to make the terrain like interesting and everything, with like wanted posters everywhere, bodies dead inside it and whatnot. But I love the fact that we have these mats down. They're in an exact formation, and then you could just put terrain on top of it. It makes the game so much more interesting because you can add things like this. Like, you want an ice world, you can do that. I'm building an entire Necron tomb world using the terrain layout that is currently for 11th edition. And this stuff is perfect for it. And yeah, I love when people make stuff like this. It looks great. I like the subtle blue coloring inside it. Like, you can see that this is actually painted, and it's subtle. And if you look very closely at the side of this image, you will see a finger.
Yeah, there's a giant finger in the lens right there.
But I really love this nice setup in the background. Sorry, I just saw all the miniatures in the background. That looks incredible. I want to see those too. But like, the basing on this is really well done. The weathering on the ice is incredible. The subtle blue is difficult to do on ice. Like, it seems really easy until you actually try it yourself. Overall, what do you think, Ross? 10 out of 10?
I love
Nailed
it.
The ice look?
Yeah. If that is meant to be ice, then that is the iciest ice I've seen as a terrain feature. I love it.
And yeah, it looks really good. I like this. Like, as a person living on a frozen rock in the middle of the ocean, this does look like ice. So, next up we have, this is the only thing this week. No, we have a couple of jump pack Marines, and then one other thing. So
Rush is saying he is Hitman 1-2-13.
Yep.
And he's saying, should I keep the gold helmets or go red?
I like the gold helms.
Well, it's very reminiscent of Pre-Heresy Emperor's Children, which I am all for. So yeah, gold helms. Now, at least a gold faceplate. You know, if you want to keep the helm purple and do the faceplate gold, that's something you can do.
Yeah, I would do your laurels in green.
Agreed.
Yeah, make them a nice green. Go along with that. Your bolt guns do need some black wash and to drill out the barrel or paint a black dot on it.
Thank you, Alexis.
Don't worry, we're there for you. Now, one thing that you can do to make your Marines pop, and it's so subtle that most people miss it, but do you see these cablings between the armor panels itself? If you hit that with a silver and then black wash it, it works really well, and I love it. Overall, I really like your paint scheme. I like that you took Primaris Marines, threw some older throw some older armor panels on them, and older helms. It always looks good, in my opinion.
You know, I think I found something on the Thrice Possessed. I think she's from Black Crusade.
Yeah, I think she's from Black Crusade.
Okay.
I think people are mixing up the Trice Bound and the Trice Possessed.
Well, she's
I
also
think
from the.
even
She's originally from the Calixis sector, so
yeah,
it's
I knew
possible.
she yeah, I knew she was from the sector. That's why I put it as the name. But yeah,
Her true name is Axanea, and she
yeah,
was born on the planet of Leod. Damn, I can't even pronounce this. Laodomida. Laodomida.
Ladadian.
Ladomida. She's from the planet Ladomida. There you go.
Ba ba da ba da
Ladomida. Da
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 da.
da.
Ladomida.
We're adults.
Yeah.
So this is not the greatest of pictures from the angle that you gave us. Perhaps it's a better. Yeah, this is a much better one. Again, I would add just a little bit of silver to these
Yeah.
couplings,
Agreed.
and it would pop this model quite a bit.
Dry brush or yeah, I think I would probably say dry brush a little bit of silver on there.
Yeah. Both guns again, just a simple wash on top of it. I could see a fingerprint on this one, so you might want to just fix that.
Thin your paints a little bit, and washes are your friend. Dry brushing is okay as long as you keep the deep recesses black as black as possible.
Yep, I do like using sprue as bricks on a base.
That's a good way to go.
Yep,
It's a good use for sprues, which are
yep,
otherwise garbage.
yeah. I really like this. And then we have the backs. The purple really pops for the capes and everything. Take where's the color? Where's the color? Gene Seal Occult purple and do a dry brush over these cape, and it'll snap. It'll look amazing.
I was also thinking about the thing you said earlier about there's not a lot of Slanesh in the Calixis sector. There's a lot of Slanesh in the Screaming Vortex, which is the setting for Black Crusade.
Yep.
So that's we did do a lot there for that.
Yeah, which also created the strongest non-psychic psychic power in existence that I permanently banned from all of my settings.
Yeah, it didn't
Flesh
surprise me.
shaping.
Didn't surprise me. Oh wow, yeah, these are looking good, buddy. Need some more work on those bases as usual. That one gun up there has got its magazine out, which I never liked the look of that. That's up to you if you want to keep that or not, but it's always a
Kind
little
of
bit of
looks
an
like
awkward.
he's shaking it out, but yeah.
Yeah, it's such a strange thing to be there.
Yeah. Now, next up, we have some really good-looking Ultra.
Hey, look at those Ultra Boys. Deathwatch Squad too, in fact.
So it looks like they're veterans from the Deathwatch.
Well, they
like
have the shoulder pad, yeah.
Yeah, they went to the Deathwatch and now they came back.
At least two of them did.
Yeah.
That's cool. I bet there's a story there. I bet both of them went at the same time and were in the same squad. Like that would be hilarious.
Yeah. I mean,
That'd
they
be
are
really
fourth
cool.
company too. So this is really good.
Yeah, those look good. The bases are done. The sand on the guy's feet looks a little messy, but I get where that comes from.
I like this, but you need a dust to go over it, and then it'll really work.
Agreed. That's just a little sprinkle of dust would really help that work out. But I love the models outside of that. I think they look really, really good.
Mm-hmm. The Deathwatch symbol looks really good. I always am a fan of if you do the bionic arm, you always do that one highlight there to break up the arm because otherwise it's just a silver arm.
Yeah, usually what I see people do with the Deathwatch symbol is to paint the Inquisition eye behind the skull, something like red, to help that like really stand out. Or gold is another way to do it. Gold or red. Another option is, of course, bone white if you want to go that route, but that will then maybe hide the skull and crossbones. So watch out for that.
Also, good use of skin tones here. You got several different, like you should, because I hate when people commission me and they're just like, "Oh, just do a normal skin tone," and I'm like, "Okay, what's a normal skin tone?" I really like these. I think these look really good. Yeah, I would do maybe a wash on the leather strap, and that's about it.
That's one of those places where I'm going to disagree. I don't think it's worthy. Leather straps are like one of the last things I look at on a model. I just kind of see if they're painted. I don't really, the detail who cares about the detail on all this drop? But that is the difference between you and me. You are a award-winning, highly well-paid commissioned painter, and I am a guy who used to judge stuff back in the day. So
no, I have won only one award ever.
That's still award-winning. And she says paint the leather, then maybe take her word for it more than me. I personally wouldn't bother with it.
And then we got this week's update for this is Rush, right?
Wow. Yeah, those blood angels are coming along nicely.
Look at that. I also love that
Sanguinor.
The Sanguinor in the Jesus pose.
That's how his model looks.
Do not worship my dad as a god.
Yeah, look at the books behind the dog there, though. This is a deep thinker here. The plays of Euripides. I mean, that's some serious intellectual stuff there, Rush. Love it.
I also love the I think this is the 6th edition captain. I just love that it's here because you really see the size comparison of like older Marines to newer Marines. You got the Furnace squad back here as well.
Looking good. I think the purple helmets are okay, but I do think the gold or really pop better. Are those? I think you said those are red, right? Red helmets.
I think he was thinking of going to the red helmet.
Yeah,
I mean, I like the gold helmet a bit better.
If you do the red, I would say paint the faceplate gold, but keep the red. Otherwise, that helps you distinguish. That gives you a way to distinguish between squads while still keeping an overall theme.
Or veterans.
Yeah,
like your veterans could have gold helmets. Your assault marines could have red helmets. Your like you could do the ultramarine thing, where their devastators have red helmets.
Right.
Yeah. That is all the models we have for this week. Which we had some really good ones. I will be posting more next week because I have just finally finished a pile of stuff.
Ice Veins, thank you for the gift of a Lorebeards membership. We don't have to do anything for that. That just happens. So if you're out there and you just suddenly got a membership, thank Ice Veins. Good job. Good on you, sir. We appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
We have got a show coming up. We have a show coming up Wednesday and a show coming up next Saturday. You will see polls for that coming up tonight or tomorrow, depending on when I get to it. But I will be putting up polls for what to vote for those two shows. And I think, let me just double check, but I think we've got this week is our bonus show is going to be a Let's Build.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think
every time we do a Let's Build, it does not go the way we expect. Hey, here's a jokey, jovial orc. He sends super dementia to Necrons.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah. And then we're going to have a nice light rogue trader who was actually goofy and fun. So it happens from time to time, but usually it's in a way that we weren't expecting. So it's going to be a fun Let's Build for Wednesday. And then we're going to be, I don't know. We have a lot of options for lore things in the future. I want to talk about Mechanicus. Alexis wants to talk about Arcane Land. We both want to discuss, more Necron stuff, more Dark Angel stuff, more Heresy First Captains. There's a lot of stuff to get into. And Imperial institutions like the Officio Assassinorum or the Death Court of Krieg. They were an option for this week, but they weren't chosen. So we'll eventually get to the Death Corps. Kind of fun dudes.
Yeah, just a little bit. Good old French army troopers. Let's go.
Where can people find you on the internet, Alexis, and what are you up to?
So you see this link, this name right here. You can plug it into. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. I'm currently streaming Armageddon because I bought all the DLCs, and it is a lot of fun. Like I love that game. I don't know what it is. It's simplistic. I can talk. It's really fun. And
I need to promote a friend of mine, Mike Lafferty. He's a good friend of mine. He has a small RPG studio called Feigning Goat Games. And he has made a project called Cocaine Owlbear, which has done a lot for him. And he has a special, the Cocaine Owlbear Halloween special that you can find on Kickstarter right now.
Also put that link in the chat so people can copy it.
I will do that. And I do highly recommend Cocaine Owlbear because it is a lot of fun to just play around with your friends and have a weird day of cocaine and D&D. Why not at the same time? It's jokey and fun, but it is also really good for Halloween. If you have a one shot that you like to run and don't know what you're going to do this year, hey, you've got an option.
You know what? Speaking of, I am finally going to run my first game of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and I'm super excited for it. I'm going to actually run a short, I'm thinking 12 sessions. So it's going to be a short, not a one shot, but a short adventure. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm running it with well, my Victor is in the game, so he's going to help me balance everything. Like if I'm like, oh yeah, there's all of this, babe, that'll kill all of us. Well, then you should use your brain and run away.
Are you using 4th edition Wifrip for this?
We're actually going to try 5th edition.
Okay.
Because they're just coming out with 5th edition.
Are they? Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. So I'm super excited. And then afterwards, I'm running Imperial Maledictum, and we're running Cops and Robbers, essentially, is the story. But every other week, you alternate parties. So how this game is going to work is the first week, you're the inquisitorial agents trying to uncover a dastardly do-batter, let's just put it that way, who's up to no good and starting to make trouble in the neighborhood. And now he's getting into one small fight, and the Inquisition got caught wind of it. But in order to get in, they have to pretend to be all the gangs to get closer and closer to their target to eliminate them.
Nice.
And then the other week, they're playing the Planetary Enforcers, or Arbites. Those are two different branches. I'm not sure which one I want to use yet, because I kind of like the Arbites a little bit better than the Enforcers. But more than likely, we're using the Enforcers to keep it at a more like town, city level. But the Planetary Enforcers they caught wind of an up-and-coming gang that they need to stop. Because at the current moment, they have deals in place with the Underhive gangs to keep them where they are. So there's a subtle balance between like the gang violence and the enforcers, who are also just a gang essentially, violence, and they're fighting back and forth, trying to discover each other and find the corruption.
Devin Urbina asks, don't we have multiple people on Lorebeards that worked on Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay? I worked on Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 3rd edition. Andy famously worked on 2nd and 4th. Vera is, I think, working on the current edition.
She worked on 4th and 5th.
So that's, yeah, we have several of the hosts have been involved in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay as well as Warhammer 40k Roleplay over the years.
I played it. And I can tell you, they did a good job.
How many players do you have, and where are you starting out in the old world?
Oh, wait, old world? Do you mean Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay? Because old world is also getting its own RPG.
Well, the old world is the setting for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. So.
Yeah, I know, but it's now confusing because there is the old world, there's Warhammer Fantasy, and there's AOS, and now AOS is going to explode, maybe.
All right, what location in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay are you starting out in?
I am not sure yet, but I have an idea for the story, and I'm probably going to switch it up and just do Nordland, because I really like Nordland. So around there. For the Cops and Robbers thing, I'm actually using Calixis.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Imperium Maledictum. I just met him. No, for real. I would like to know more about Imperium Maledictum. That is a game I would have liked to have been involved in, for certainly. I had some ideas on how you could randomly create your patron for that game, and I was curious to see how that works in play. So, yeah, is there a place to watch this? Are you going to be streaming it? Devin Urbina asks.
Oh, I'd have to ask all the players and everything. We're not going to play it on Roll20. We just play it on our table back there because I own billions of miniatures.
If you're not like, there's no pressure to stream it or record it, but I think people are interested in finding out more about your game. Let's put it
honestly,
that way.
Maybe. Maybe. I have to talk to the other players, and then we have to arrange the house so that I can stream it. But definitely maybe, and it would be on my YouTube channel and Twitch. Yeah.
I should mention that if you are interested in the Calixis sector and want to know more about it, you don't necessarily have to own Dark Heresy books, although that is the best way to do it. There are some free PDFs. I think there's a Calixis sector encyclopedia that's a fan-made PDF. And if you search for Dark Heresy PDF online, you can usually find things like Edge of Darkness, which was a free adventure released in PDF format. I think Shattered Hopes was also released in PDF format. So you can find a lot of free material to get you up to date on the Calixis sector and maybe learn some things that we didn't cover in this episode. For me, if you're really wanting to know more and you're like willing to dig for older books, Disciples of the Dark Gods is amazing. Purge the Unclean has some stuff in it as well that's really good. But the Harlock's Legacy trilogy will dive into some of the tone and themes and tropes, I think, that are the most Calixian of them all. Radical's Handbook to a lesser extent, and Creatures Anathema as well.
And the only thing I can say, the only thing I can say about Dark Heresy is pyromancy might be busted.
Might. Molten Beam.
Yeah, that thing is actually kind of crazy.
Molten Beam.
And flesh shaping should be banned. Also, if one of your party members says that they want to play a feudal world tech priest, tell them to explain to you how they can, because I guarantee you they're trying to play a heavy armor build that's absolutely busted.
There's so many secrets and conspiracies and NPCs that we didn't get to today. If there's anything you want to know about the Calixis sector, you can always go to our Discord and let us know, hey, I want to know more about this. I want to know more about that. Make a list, because we could come back to this and revisit, do a part 2 at some point in the future to talk about it, because Calixis sector is amazing. But we should also talk about the Cronus Expanse. We should also talk about the Screaming Vortex. We should also talk about the Jericho Reach. We should also talk about the Severin Dominant and the Spinward Front. There's a lot of stuff to cover for just the roleplay settings that we will get to eventually. And that's basically it for today on the Calixis sector.
Yeah, that's all I got.
So remember, everyone, in the grim darkness of the far future,
there is only lore.
That's right. Cheers, everyone. Catch you later. And Kovu.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.